Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Montgomery County Council. It's Tuesday, March 23rd. We will begin with proclamations today. Let me turn it over to Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you, Council President. I am really excited and pleased to be able to present on behalf of the Council a proclamation to our local chapter of the American Red Cross. This is Red Cross Month, and we are so lucky to have the American Red Cross in our community with a storied history as part of our community, starting with Clara Barton, incidentally, the historic site in District 1 where Clara Barton did so much of her work and lived for a period of her life, was the first historic site nationally registered to celebrate the accomplishments of women. Also a very important moment and a lot of intersectionality and synergy there as well. But we have with us Kurt Luffy, who has recently joined last year. He came at a particularly important moment for relief efforts and for service to the community, and has really hit the ground running in our region and continued the amazing work that the American Red Cross has done in our community and across our region. And so we honor those who have contributed to this organization that has done so much since Clara Barton through work and volunteering, through education, through donating blood. I'm a regular platelet donor in Rockville at the Rockville Center, and the volunteers and staff of the American Red Cross just are absolutely incredible. And I know Kurt is really here, not just on behalf of those who work, but those who volunteer and sacrifice so much for our community and the organization. American Red Cross has been providing support in emergencies for almost 140 years, has continued to do so during COVID and this unprecedented moment that we have here. I will note that during COVID, emergencies don't stop, and so we have had a number of compounding emergencies, both smaller local ones for Montgomery County families and larger natural ones across the region, across the country. And during a time when we are exhausting our resources to fight the pandemic, American Red Cross volunteers from our area have been deployed all across the country and throughout our region to help with some of those disasters, and have also been helping to serve our veterans here at Walter Reed Medical Center. So just wanted to thank Kurt, thank the volunteers and staff at the American Red Cross for selflessly and consistently providing relief efforts to everybody, not just this past year, but especially this past year and throughout the many, many decades. And look forward to continuing a partnership with our Department of Health and Human Services and with our county, our first responders, and to have the American Red Cross local chapter continuing to do so much work in our community. So with that, I'm going to read a proclamation, and then we'll turn it over to you, Kurt, for some brief remarks. We have a proclamation on behalf of the Montgomery County Council. Whereas, with a desire to turn compassion into action, Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross in May of 1881 after observing the Global Red Cross Network on a trip to Europe. And whereas, for almost 140 years, the American Red Cross has provided disaster relief, life-saving blood, training, certification, education, services to the armed forces, and international services without discrimination in order to aid people from all over the world. And whereas, from undertaking its first disaster relief effort aiding victims of Michigan forest fires in 1881 to adjusting blood donation protocols during the current pandemic, the Red Cross has persevered in its commitment to our nation and our community. And whereas the local chapter of the Red Cross over the past year has provided aid to victims of both Hurricanes Laura and Delta, provided relief in California for the wildfires, served veterans at Walter Reed Medical Center, and continue to serve our community in education, blood donation, and immediate emergency relief for families in crisis. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby recognizes Red Cross Month, and be it further resolved that the County Council celebrates the workers, volunteers, and continued dedication of the American Red Cross in its mission to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. Presented on this 23rd day of March in the year 2021, signed by myself, Andrew Friedson, District 1 Council Member, and Tom Hucker, Council President. Congratulations, and with that, I'll turn it over to Kurt.
Well, thank you, Council Member. I do graciously accept this proclamation. And just a little bit more about what we're doing specifically in Montgomery County. We have 881 local volunteers that are from Montgomery County that are responding to all of the things that you've already mentioned. During 2020, we have responded to and assisted 121 families and individuals with their personal emergencies, including a multifamily fire that happened last night in Gaithersburg, where there were a number of people displaced. We also have served 1,177 military members and their families with things like emergency messaging and other social services that we can provide to them, including resiliency training for mental health. We've also educated over 580 youth in Montgomery County during the year of 2020. And we've also worked with 43 organizations, churches, and businesses to make sure that they're ready in case of a disaster affecting them as well. So the Montgomery County residents have also, and this is a really incredible statistic, have donated 17,762 units of blood. And that goes to save hundreds and thousands of people's lives and help those who need that blood product immediately. So on behalf of the Red Cross, I do want to say thank you, and thank you to our volunteers and to all those who are generously donating to the Red Cross. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Almost 18,000 units of blood. That's just incredible. Testament to the community and your work. So certainly well deserved, and thank you for your life-saving efforts. Appreciate it, President.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kurt, to you and your staff and all your volunteers. Next, let me open it back up to Councilmember Friedson and Councilmember Rice and Navarro to help us celebrate National Agriculture Day.
All right, so I guess, should I begin, Councilmember Friedson, or you got it?
Please.
Oh, okay, all right. So good morning, everyone, and really want to thank all of our great agricultural partners. I'm just going to start off because my family's deeply rooted in farming. Everybody knows, they've heard my story about being the grandson of sharecroppers. My mother grew up on a rural farm in South Carolina, and still to this day is about to start planting okra and all kinds of vegetables at our house now where we live in Darnestown, right on the edge of the agricultural reserve. And it is incredibly important for us to make sure that we continue to understand just how important agriculture is for our future. We talk often about climate change and how that is such a danger to us. Well, climate change affects agriculture, and that's one of the reasons why climate change is so important. If we don't have a climate that's there to help support food sustainability, we'll continue to have the challenges that we have. And we see via this pandemic what we faced when it comes to food insecurity, so much so that the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments stood up a farm committee specifically associated with making sure that we have agricultural preservation, new ways in which we can continue to promote agricultural production and continue to work on food sustainability in our communities. Why is it important? Because we predict in the coming decades a global food shortage, global. And so that means that we have so much more work to do. It means that the folks who came up with the concept of the agricultural reserve were light years ahead in terms of their thinking, in terms of their planning in meeting the challenges of our future. We need to continue to do everything that we can to protect our agricultural reserve, to continue to lift up our farmers, and continue to promote new farmers, those who are immigrants, those who are people of color, who have come from other regions, who can also offer so much to our agricultural reserve and its production. So I'm really excited. I really want to thank folks like Jeremy Chris, and our Office of Agriculture for all the great things that they continue to do. I want to thank all of our farmers that are on the call who continue to do everything to promote farming and make sure that people realize just how important agriculture is. Not only is it important for our future, but it's also a great economic engine as well. And so with that, I turn it over to my colleagues. And thank you so much for all of your great work and dedication.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Rice. And it's such an honor to be able to represent the Agricultural Reserve with my two district colleagues and to make sure that we are looking after those who are looking after our food and the families who provide so much of our local food supply and are such a part of the Montgomery County economy and what makes Montgomery County what it is. I want to recognize a few people who are here with us. Doug Lecklider, the chairman of the Montgomery County Agriculture Advisory Committee. I see Lonnie Luther, president of the Montgomery County Farm Bureau. We've got Bob Sissel, Montgomery County Ag Producers, and also a member of the Agricultural Land Preservation Advisory Committee. Of course, Jeremy Chris and Mike Sheffield from the Office of Agriculture, who advise us and do such great work. I think Todd Greenstone may also be with us, though I don't see him on video, from the Montgomery County Farm Bureau, and also I think Eric Spates from the Farm Bureau as well. Maybe with us, as well as Michael Jameson from the Montgomery County Agricultural Land Preservation Advisory Board, who is currently serving as its chair. It is just such a privilege and an honor that the Agricultural Reserve is such a core part of Montgomery County. I agree, it's the most important land conservation decision we've ever made. Protecting it and preserving it is not a past tense objective. It's a current and future tense objective. We've recently found a way to balance that and to make sure that we continue the groundbreaking efforts way ahead of its time, the smart growth and emphasis on agriculture, so that we can have something of everything in Montgomery County, which almost no other jurisdiction can say, suburban, urban, and rural in such close proximity, and all the benefits of that. But today, it's really about celebrating National Agricultural Day. We benefit from every day being Agricultural Day. Every time we open up our refrigerator and don't have to quite think about the amount of work that went into making sure that produce got to where we picked it up. And we're just so lucky for the unsung heroes who are joining us, as Councilmember Katz would note, midday for them. The start of the day for us, but midday for you all. So we appreciate you taking time out of your lunch break at 9:15 in the morning to join us and to allow us to be recognized. And we really do just appreciate you doing all the work that you do every day. We truly stand on your shoulders and benefit from the literal and figurative fruits of your labor. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to Councilmember Navarro.
Thank you so much, and it is a wonderful morning. Happy 48th anniversary of National Agricultural Day. I think that, it really has been a year, last year, to ponder about a lot of very important things that sometimes we tend to just forget, because we go around in our daily lives, we show up at grocery stores, and we buy all our produce and we do all of that, and there continues to be, in my opinion, a disconnect in understanding where all that food comes from. And I think that this past year has taught us a lot of lessons. And I shared with many of your colleagues that my first trip to the grocery store when the pandemic hit really continues to be front and center in my mind when we saw, shelves that were empty, when we saw all the produce basically that was gone. And it really did, I think, remind all of us that we take a lot of this for granted. And that is the extraordinary thing about this county. The diversity of this county is not just racial and ethnic, it's also geographic, and it's also in terms of what we have done as a legacy to preserve, protect, this extraordinary asset that is the agricultural reserve, and do whatever we can to make sure that we provide the support necessary for all of you, for our farmer community, to continue to do this very important work. So for me, I think this particular commemoration is very, very personal and important, and I think it should be for all of us in this county, because I think it does reaffirm our commitment, but also our appreciation for this amazing asset. And I did not grow up in a farm, but I did have a maternal grandmother that did. And to hear her stories and to understand that very important connection to the earth, it's always something that I carry, and that I think we always must preserve, respect. And everybody in these particular seats is somebody who will be term limited and leaving. I always remind folks that one of the very first lessons I learned when I was elected in 2009 by Mr. Royce Hansen was, you need to do everything in your power to preserve, to protect the agricultural reserve. It is a real important legacy. And so I really hope that whoever comes around in 2022 understands that very important responsibility. And I thank all of you for continuing to make this important asset a productive and important component of what makes our county so extraordinary. Thank you.
Well, here to that. And let me just say, I shared the same story with you, Councilmember Navarro. It was actually Mr. Hansen and I who actually ran at the same time in 2010. And upon my winning, he did say to me, and we had a great sit down and talked about it. He said the same thing. And so it's good to hear that message was loud and clear from one of the founders of our agricultural reserve, and certainly one in which we hope will continue and last. And we know that in the hands of Councilmember Friedson, who is one of the 3 district council members, we may have another with redistricting to represent the agricultural reserve. We know that it will still remain in good hands, and all of my at-large members and other district council members who know just how important this truly is. So with that, let's hear from the voices from the agricultural community. First, we've got Lonnie Luther, who is the president of the Montgomery County Farm Bureau. Lonnie, let me turn it over to you, sir.
Well, hi, Craig and Nancy and Andrew. It's a pleasure to be with you today and to represent the farmers in the Montgomery County Farm Bureau system. We do have some very faithful members and a very good board of directors that's working hard to look after the farmers' interests in Montgomery County and across the state of Maryland. And we appreciate the council's support for the farmers and the farm community. And we're blessed to have people like you serving on our county council. So we want to thank you and Mark Elrich and his staff for all the support you've given us down through the years. And we look forward to you continuing to do that. So I'll just keep it brief and say thanks so much.
Well, thank you very much, Lonnie. Those are very kind words, and we will certainly heed them. That's for sure. Doug Lecklider, chair of our Montgomery County Agricultural Advisory Committee. Let me turn it over to you, sir.
Well, thank you, Craig. And it certainly is an honor to be involved in this. And as chairman of the Agriculture Advisory Committee, I just want to say thank you on behalf of all the ag community. This Montgomery County Ag Reserve, as you all have well attested, it's been termed the county's most successful farmland preservation program. And as Councilman Rice and Navarro and Friedson have all said, it's never been more important to appreciate that and continue with that agriculture reserve. Farming's thriving in the reserve. Farm innovation, farm no-till cropping to the Land Link program that matches new and beginning farmers to the land by Montgomery Countryside Alliance is all aspects of farming are thriving. And I just cannot thank this council enough for your support, your continued support, and we look forward to continuing this relationship with farming in the community in the coming future. Thank you so very much.
No, well, thank you, Doug, and thank you for continuing to do the great work. We know, and Councilmember Navarro said it, Councilmember Friedson touched on it as well, is that, look, we know what we're depending on when it comes to sustainability of our community, right? And so to answer that call and be able to ensure that we continue to have the food that's necessary for our community, as well as hopefully help to sustain our region, is incredibly important. And that can't be undervalued in terms of just how important that is for our overall well-being as a society. And there's not enough conversation about how important food is, and not just food, right? But also when it comes to some of the table crops, when it comes to so many of the things that are so important for our community. And so I encourage folks again, Councilmember Navarro is one of our leaders in our Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. The board is the one who helped to stand up and approve the farm committee that as a region is looking at new and innovative ways in which we can continue to promote farming. We've got local entities like MAP that really focuses on supporting our farmers from an economical and structural perspective, also from a legal perspective in terms of advocating for policies and laws. We've got our Office of Ag that does a great job in terms of working with the county government directly and farmers as a liaison, and also giving us great ideas. We've got all the people who are on this call today who do the great work. And so I'm just happy to be able to celebrate them by reading this proclamation today. And just thank you again, excuse me, for your great leadership and work. So we'll start off, and does everybody have their proclamation in front of them ready to go? All right. Whereas 2021 will mark the 48th anniversary of National Agriculture Day, created in 1973 to recognize and celebrate the vital role of our agricultural industry and to increase public awareness of agricultural's contributions in providing products used and consumed in our daily lives. And
whereas the pandemic further highlighted the critical importance of the agricultural industry as our nation faced food insecurity and as our farmers endured market uncertainties due to COVID-19. Yet the agricultural sector has proved its resilience time and time again as it continues to ensure the nation's food security through innovative and sustainable practices. And
whereas during National Agricultural Day and every day, residents should appreciate how food, fiber, and renewable products are produced, value how critical agriculture is in maintaining a strong economy and preventing food shortages, and promote the honorable, rewarding, and extensive career opportunities in agricultural industries. And
whereas the Montgomery Agricultural Reserve is 93,000 acres of protected farmland and open space, serving as home to over 550 farms and 350 horticultural enterprises and a growing equine industry. And
whereas the businesses in the Agricultural Reserve contribute more than $281 million annually to our economy in agricultural products and operations, and employ more than 10,000 Montgomery County residents and respond to the needs of our community. And
whereas the Office of Agriculture was created to support and promote our agriculture industry in Montgomery County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby recognizes March 23rd, 2021 as National Agricultural Day.
And be it further resolved that the council encourages all residents to honor those farmers and those in the agricultural industry for the vital role that they have in our economy to support the continuation of our county's farming heritage and culture, presented this 23rd day of March in the year 2021, signed by all of us and our council president. Thank you so much. Congratulations, guys. And just as a quick aside, before I see we have 2 minutes, I'm going to turn it back over to the council president. Guys, you guys are going to have to help me. My daughter now wants a pig and chickens. I'm just telling you, we have goats right next door. And so she's been inspired. And so it's going sideways. So I'm gonna need some help. We're about to turn into the rice farm for real. I just feel it happening.
We can make that happen.
Yeah,
we can make that happen,
well, I know
Greg.
you, Bob. I know
It's
you.
a rice farm, but for pigs.
Yes, exactly. She switched up from hamster to pig. It's that ag influence coming out of the reserve. That's definitely what it is. Mr. President, back to you, sir. Take care, guys.
Thank you all so much for all your hard work. Thank you, council members. Now we will have general business. Madam Clerk, do we have any announcements, agenda changes, or petitions?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
We have an addendum number 2C added, introduction, resolution to adopt the Board of Health regulation concerning the equitable distribution of COVID-19 vaccines. Lead sponsor is the County Council. We also have on the addendum 3C on the consent calendar added, introduction, property disposition, lease of space on lot 41. Public hearing action is scheduled for 4/6/21 at 1:30 p.m. Added 3K, introduction action, amendment to the FY operating budget resolution 19-472, section G, FY 21, designation of entities for non-competitive contract award status, Homeless Persons Representation Project, Inc. We also have an announcement under general business 3.5, recommended and potential amendments to the FY 21-26 capital improvements program and FY 22 capital budget have been proposed. These amendments will be included in the operating budget public hearings on April 6th, 7th, and 8th, 2021. Also, the council also has receipt of a petition from the residents of Montgomery County opposing pandemic restrictions placed on high school football games in Montgomery County. That is all, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. The clerk has also distributed the minutes to council members prior to the meeting for the meetings of December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 8th. Are there any changes? Hearing no objection, the minutes are approved as submitted. So now the council will sit as the Board of Health. Dr. Gales, Dr. Stoddard, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Dr. Kroll, wonderful.
Okay, are we ready?
Ready whenever you're ready to begin. I know we're a little ahead of schedule.
Well, I was raised by, my father is a Marine, or was a Marine, and I was raised that early is on time and on time is late, so I don't mind. Good morning, everybody, and always happy to be with you. I will try to be succinct in my remarks, and if I'm able to share my screen, thank you. Let me see where. Give me 1 second, sorry. It's showing up here. Okay, we'll just go this way.
He did. Yes.
Okay, are you looking at a case rates by county for March 8th? Is that what is what is on your screen?
We're seeing the full slide deck view, Dr. Gales.
Okay, sorry, I'm not able to pull it up. So what I wanted to, before starting the slide presentation, I wanted to share with you, and we'll figure this out hopefully by the conclusion of the presentation, but to compare the two, before we talk about vaccines, to compare the two maps of where we were when the governor made the decision to open up things at a more significant rate and where we are today. In terms of comparison, at that time, the test positivity for the state was lower. It's now knocking on the door of 5%. Our test positivity has remained in the area of close to approximately 3. Our cases per 100,000 on March 8th was 9.33, and yesterday it was 10.55. Now, we've seen sharper increases in other parts of the state. Kent County, for one, has seen a significant increase in their cases. We've also seen an increase in cases in the Baltimore metropolitan area and in other parts of the state. That shows some increase from where we were in early March to where we are right now, both in terms of cases per 100,000 and test positivity. We have continued to receive information of new cases of variant strains within our community. We also continue to monitor potential outbreaks in congregate situations and settings, which I'll share with at the end if I'm able to share my screen. Better way to show those maps to hammer home. Now, this shows you where we stand in terms of our cases per 100,000. We are getting fluctuating around 10 in the moderate to high risk of transmission. Again, we're not at the levels where we were earlier on in the pandemic when we reopened more broadly at the first and second phase during the summertime. Switching a little bit and pivoting to vaccinations, we now have over 25% of our population having received at least one dose. 13% of the population, county population, is fully vaccinated. And fortunately, we're seeing significant improvements, continued improvements in the percentage of those who are over the age of 75, as well as those in our 65 to 74-year-old age group, having received at least one dose. Now, each of those are over 70%. And we do still have some ways to go in terms of getting folks completed through their series. This is inclusive of the Pfizer and Moderna doses, as well as any individuals who've completed with a small percentage of Johnson & Johnson and doses that we've received so far. Now, we do want to provide an update in terms of the priority groups. Yesterday, the governor's office released a memo that has directed all health, any person who is providing coronavirus vaccines to have to follow the state schedule and match up where they are. Now, that means that, as you know, we have been a little bit off in terms of the groups that we've prioritized, including all of the folks on the right in purple. Now, the governor's directive did move to those who are over the age of 60. Now, we've made provisions so that individuals who fall into that category, 60 to 65, are eligible and able to pre-register within our system so that we can get them in the queue to provide opportunities for them to be vaccinated. Now, let's be clear, however, as we've said all along, is just because someone's eligible doesn't mean you will get an appointment right away. It just adds you to the queue so that as we continue to move through those groups, you are eligible and will be able to get an appointment again as we move through the prioritization group that way. Additionally, we think on March 30th, the next phase of the governor's vaccine plan will include individuals over the age, between the ages of 16 to 64 with pre-existing medical conditions. We will be vetting that. Unfortunately, as always, we found out on the fly yesterday. And so we will be vetting that further and providing more information out to folks in terms of the types of documentation or attestation that will be required for them to be able to get the vaccine for those who meet that criteria. This is, again, when we look at our performance compared to other counties, the number of vaccines administered, as well as on the right, the percentage of our population covered. If you remember, Montgomery County was at the lower end of this at the early stages, given our percent population, but we continue to move forward, and now we're, again, have vaccinated or at least provided at least one dose to 26% of our population, which is above the state average of 23%. This again shows you the number of doses that we've administered compared to those that have been allocated. This is inclusive of those first doses as well as second doses. We have exhausted or will exhaust our first doses for this week today in our remaining clinics. And our next allotment that will be coming will actually, the state did increase that this week from 6,500 to 8,000. And we will continue to staff the clinics that we have in place already. We've added an additional day with our White Oak site. As well as we are hopeful to be able to, we're completing training with a number of community providers to also be able to provide doses to them to as an extension of the county operation and increase penetration through different communities. It's also important to note that we have not received confirmation of when we will get our next allotment of Johnson & Johnson doses. That could happen imminently. We thought we might get some last week, but we didn't. And so once we find out more information about that, we will certainly make that available to the general public. Now, we will be pivoting out of the high school sites beginning next week as they come back into circulation for MCPS use. We will be moving our sites to a couple of other places, including continuing to utilize our rec centers such as White Oak and East County. We will be announcing those sites shortly. And we will also be standing up the site at Germantown, Montgomery College campus in Germantown as a county-run site consistent with how we have run our sites so far. And when we get more updates from the state related to the mass vac site, we will make those details available to the general public. This again just breaks down the percentage of doses that we've administered. And this is our breakdown by race and ethnicity, looking at the 65 and up category. We have seen a little bit of improvement from where we were a couple weeks ago. We continue to see the gap close. And then when we look at overall, regardless of age, you can see we still have a ways to go for our Black population and our Latino population compared to the percentage of those who've actually been vaccinated, comparing it to the percent of our population breakdown. Again, our geographic representation of what that looks like. The green areas are above the Montgomery County average and the percent of 65-year-olds, 65 and up who've been vaccinated, receiving at least one dose. And the pink and red areas are below the average of the county average in terms of that percentage who've been vaccinated. And this is the breaking it down for those who are under 65 who've been vaccinated, which would be inclusive of a host of our healthcare workers and other essential employees. Our pre-registration statistics are showing that we're seeing an increase in the 18 to 64-year-old group, which makes sense because they make up a lot of our essential employees who we're moving through, and that is the next group that will be covered in terms of vaccination, specifically 18 to 64-year-olds or 16 to 64-year-olds who are with medical conditions, but also, again, this is inclusive of our essential employees who have been prioritized within our algorithm. This shows you pre-registrations over time. We certainly need folks to continue to pre-register so that we have your information so that we can send you the link when it's your turn in the queue to get an appointment. And based upon the equity framework that has been used consistently over the last 6 to 8 weeks, here are the zip codes that remain priority tier 1 zip codes based upon the impact of COVID cases, hospitalizations, as well as COVID-related fatalities. This breaks down the demographics by age. And I will stop the share there. And the other thing that I would like to point out, and again, I'm going to work to make the maps available to give the comparison between the two, is that I did touch base with our disease control team today in terms of providing updates for cases related to our schools having gone back. They did report, we're getting a final number, that there are a lot of single cases without possible contacts in the school, which suggests home exposure, but we have had 2 outbreaks actually related to sports, interestingly. At Walt Whitman, there were at least 3 football players and 2 other football players with possible contacts. In Winston Churchill High School, we had a number of student athletes across multiple sports who were exposed to another student who attends one of our non-public schools. And we've had 2 other cases that have needed contact tracing with at least one positive case and multiple possible contacts. So we will continue to keep you updated on those as we continue to move forward. We, again, always appreciate working with our MCPS colleagues in terms of expediting that process and getting the information. I will stop there and turn the floor over to Dr. Kroll, but happy to answer any questions you all may have. Thank you.
Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. I'm going to back up to a couple of slides that Dr. Gales presented because I wanted to go over them a little bit more in a little bit more depth with you all. And this will be quick. But one of the things that when we look at the 65 and over population, we begin to see that there is some approaching of parity, not quite where we need to be in the 65 and over population at this point, but beginning to catch up a little bit. That is, you see that in the numbers that are rising up above. Let's see, the minority residents per capita had rates that were higher than white residents did. So Black and African rates for vaccination over 65 finally began to catch up a little bit, which means we're still behind in terms of total number of vaccinations, but the numbers and the rate is picking up some. The other piece of this is that when you look across the entire county, we still see a lag. Across the entire population, we still see a lag that has to get addressed as we go forward. The other piece is that this is real progress. This is worth highlighting. This is real progress in terms of our equity distribution. This was a red and green divide up and down the 270 corridor just 6 weeks ago. And so the progress of getting folks vaccinated in our more highly impacted communities is evident when you look at the over 65. When you look at under 65, you see sort of similar kinds of patterns. We're doing a little bit better, east and west, but there's still this corridor that represents Germantown, down county areas, Rockville, Silver Spring, that are under-vaccinated in the larger population. That will change, but as we open up to additional tiers and as more vaccine becomes available, but it is it sets the stage for our targets for where we need to be reaching out and what communities we need to be vaccinating in as we go forward. The other piece, the slide on the right, is just representing the fact that when we started this process, and looking at our communities of color in their pre-registration process, the Asian American community far and away exceeded the Black and Brown communities in terms of pre-registration. But thanks to a lot of increasing and ongoing efforts from our partners in the community, the communities are beginning to catch up in terms of pre-registration. So thank you to everybody that has worked on that to this point. I think it is it's telling, and we will begin to catch up and get there to make sure that our most vulnerable populations are vaccinated and recognized and have a chance to get access to doses. We still have pre-registration lag, obviously. We've still got a long way to go in catching up, but we are on the path, I think. And then the last one, to Dr. Gills' point, we did not, after looking at the data, we did not change the hotspots. We saw some small movement in catchment areas where the case rates seem to have dropped some, but we are still we're still vaccinating and targeting prioritizing vaccines to folks who live in the hotspot zip codes for the moment. The only other around the process is to Dr. Gale's point, we will continue to pre-register multiple tiers in alignment with the state prioritization. We'll begin to pre-register folks who are 60 plus, and we'll get them appointments as soon as we can move through the groups. We are also continuing to allocate by hotspots and within those zip codes by case rates within hot catchment areas or census tract areas. The other thing that is going on to try to make sure we're getting vaccines into communities that are hardest hit is that we're working with our minority health initiatives and programs and other partners to expand capacity to vaccinate and our ability to provide more mobile opportunities and geographically targeted hotspot communities. As we continue mass vaccination efforts, increasingly as doses become available, getting those doses out to our providers, to our partners, is going to help us to step up the game in hotspot communities. And then lastly, we are continuing to work with the state on its equity, on its equity framework, on its equity process, and how that shows up in the county to match prospective sites that we're hearing from, folks who want to have host a vaccination site with vaccinators, and then to pair those folks, to pair those two together and connect them with the state vaccination effort in the hope that they will be considered by the state as good candidates for vaccinating. We're emphasizing our hotspots and we'll give them groups that are ready to go in those hotspots as a priority to get vaccination up and running, and hopefully to draw on additional doses that are made available by the state. So that's my quick summary for the day, and I'll turn it back over to you, Council President Hucker.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kroll. Dr. Stoddard or Dr. Bridgers, do you want to jump in?
I just have a couple things I wanted to add. First off, providing an update on where we are with education vaccination rates. We've more than 26,500 offers of vaccination opportunities have been offered to Montgomery County Public Schools, staff, employees, and others, substitutes through either Johns Hopkins or the county. We believe, though we will not confirm, we're actually doing the due diligence now to confirm that we've covered everyone, but we believe this is substantially everyone. And if there are just a few stragglers, we will find them and make sure that they have opportunities, as we will also provide additional opportunities to those who did not take advantage of the first opportunity continuously. In the non-public school space, we've heard from the Archdiocese of Greater Washington, as well as the Association of Independent Schools, that they believe they're substantially covered through the Johns Hopkins partnership and did not need additional opportunities. We reached out to the additional 128 non-affiliated schools that we have contacts with as well, and have heard from a handful of those who do need some additional opportunities, and they'll be worked into the schedule this week and before April 1st. That was our goal. And so the majority of them have also said, however, that they've been covered through the Johns Hopkins partnership or gotten vaccine opportunities through partnerships with others. And so obviously we have made really substantial progress getting our educators opportunities to be vaccinated. And as the expanded reopenings continue in Montgomery County Public Schools and elsewhere, we expect that will help reduce some of the risk associated with any potential exposures or outbreaks in those spaces. As I know many of you have noted, the governor is speaking at 2:30 today with some additional vaccine updates. We do not know what he's going to say. It's possible we could see some information and announcements come out, but we don't know exactly what's going to be said. We do continue to work, as Dr. Gale said, on the mass vaccination site, planning with the states. We have gotten great support from the National Guard and Maryland Department of Health for sharing both their expertise and other resources in how to effectively design a site like that and to build it out. But we have no additional announcements or information to say when we'll hear more. So that's all I have for that.
Okay, thank you. I have a number of colleagues who have questions for you. Let me just start off with a few. First of all, let me say, as the local council member, I'm certainly grateful for the extra day of vaccinations in White Oak. Given the governor's announcement that the state is moving to phase 2, we're already hearing confusion from residents about whether or not they are eligible. What is our plan to improve our messaging to counter the confusion among our residents?
So what I can say is, I'm not on the council, but I think, we found out late yesterday afternoon. So the context within we found out that the change was happening was we have a standing meeting with health officers and MDH Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 1:30 to 2:30. We found out in our 1:30 meeting yesterday that the change was happening. We were told that a memo was going to be sent out and the change would be effective immediately. Once we received that, we shared it with everybody to say, here's what's happening and here's what we need to do. So I know the comms team has been working to update the county website to reflect that information. And for those of you watching at home, basically what happened was the memo said that anyone who is offering vaccines as part of the state operation or using those doses must comply with the governor's priority, the state priority level. And so I know that we have been pushing and we have been talking about anyway, moving forward and creating space for those individuals 60 to 64 and anticipating the next phase as well, 16 to 64 opportunities to pre-register and reminding them to pre-register in the system so that, again, we have their information to roll out.
Thank you. Second, given that the case numbers are on the rise across the state, what is contact tracing telling us? How much is the school opening involved as a factor in that? And what are the best steps to ensure our students as well as our staff can remain safe?
Well, we will. We get our weekly reports from MDH related to contact tracing on Wednesdays. And so that will provide us, when we get those reports on tomorrow, provide us more information. Obviously, we can share that with you all in terms of what's happening and what's popping up. As it relates to the schools here, we anticipated that we would have cases. We have had, a number of those outbreaks that I mentioned involving a couple of clusters of cases, and we'll continue to follow that. We do, at least in the two outbreaks that I mentioned, the concern was that it was likely student-to-student transmission due to exposures through those athletic activities or other settings within that. But the other cases seem to be more frequently associated with a household contact or contact outside of the school setting.
That's good to hear. Recent information I received seems out of alignment with our Board of Health orders, is that balls are not allowed at recess for elementary schools. So I've heard from first and third graders who are incensed about this rule. I spoke to a school who said, yeah, first and third graders are more likely to put their hands in their mouth and then touch the ball. So that's why it's out of alignment with what we're allowing for high school kids. Is this really a risk?
I mean, from the literal standpoint, yes. I mean, it could carry risk because just what you mentioned in terms of, ability for control and developmentally, we can continue to work with our colleagues at MCPS to review those guidelines. Honestly, I don't know all the stipulations they have in place. But, part of it is ensuring it's the same principle of being very careful around didactics as well. Again, to minimize, contact that kids come into contact with, because younger ages are more likely to put hands in mouth, less likely to wash hands and observe a routinized level of hygiene compared, not to say the older kids will do it either, but at least, from a developmental perspective, they're more likely to do so.
Right. Okay. Thank you. That makes sense. And finally, as the local council member, I have to share with you that the Tacoma Torch, which is a highly respected and satirical journal based in Tacoma Park, is reporting today a headline that says Governor Hogan announces mass vaccination site for Montgomery County located in Ocean City during Memorial Day weekend. Have you been apprised of this, and can you comment on it? Okay, you're not touching that one.
I don't. I would defer to my colleagues on that one. So.
Okay. With that, I'll turn to Council Vice President Albornoz.
Well, thank you all very much for your continued leadership. A couple of just foundational questions. We've received questions from the media and constituents on how the funding we're receiving from the federal government will be used to expand our operations around vaccine dissemination. I assume in my conversations, I think some of this is going to be going to contact tracing, obviously the infrastructure necessary as we expand partnerships with different community-based organizations. But could one of you just give a little bit of an overview of how we intend to spend some of the funds specific to pandemic and response and vaccine dissemination in public health?
So I suppose, I can talk a little bit about some of that. It's probably some of the answers are across all three of us. One of the things that we're doing is, as you undoubtedly know, is we're working, as we did with testing with our minority health initiatives and programs, we're working to extend some funding so that they can shift into vaccination. and vaccine opportunities, as well as to identify and stand up additional providers that have not been funded to do some of that work going forward. That's a piece of the work, and we're emphasizing providers that we are working with as a matter of speed, to get them up and running and out the door in this emergency. The other piece, of course, is we are already expending funding on marketing and messaging around vaccination, vaccine hesitancy, but also just around vaccine availability. And to do that, we're working with our community partners to stand up and support the coronavirus community committees and coalitions so that they can get into the communities they need to get into. And that's the the vaccine pieces of this, obviously. We are continuing to staff up and to identify staff for the department and bring them on board as necessary to do all the phases of testing and vaccination from start to finish. So as we continue to move forward, those numbers may grow as needed. As we've had to go back to schools with send a lot of our staff back to schools, we've had to shift over to contract and recruited staff that are both volunteers and in some cases paid staff to cover those costs. The other pieces, of course, as we go back to work and start having people reopen and things starting to stand up, we're working with childcare providers. We're working with our community partners to make sure that they have the resources they need. Not in all cases are we covering those costs, but where necessary, we're covering some of those costs for them to have the supplies and equipment necessary to get themselves back into business. And that's it on the human services side around vaccination. But as we talk about the Rescue Act, we are also looking at rental assistance and emergency relief and eviction prevention and homelessness as other avenues that we need to fund additional support for our community. So I'll pause there and see if either Dr. Gills or Dr. Stoddard have anything else to add to that.
Yeah, I would. I know the one thing also, I would invite you all to invite Mr. Hudson to talk about this as well. But I know that a lot of the comms team, there are going to be some additional dollars utilized from the vaccine opportunity to really get communications out there, utilizing different mediums, radio, television, some of the social media apps, some additional sort of content there. I know there are some ad buys that are actually in the process right now that you'll see to try and encourage people to pre-register, get vaccinated, all those things. And so I would invite you to, I don't have that full list in front of me, so I'm sure he'd be able to provide that. But the other thing I also want to make sure that, Dr. Cole touched on this a bit with, as we reopen, same is true of county operations. So for example, if we want to have rec center camps over the summer, we've got to be able to extricate some of the recreational staff from supporting vaccination and testing. So we'll have to backfill them with additional contract staff. And so we know that we have to, as we recover, more things will naturally reopen, including county activities, but we can't stop doing testing and vaccination and contact tracing and all those things, the food access call center, all those other activities that we stood up. So we're going to have to find additional staffing, likely through contracts, to support those activities while we transition county employees who have been serving in those roles very incredibly well and well trained and well operating. We've got to make sure that we can transition all those things back smoothly. And so those funds will help us to do all those things.
And the one thing I would add that we have not talked about is that as we go through this process and we come out on the other side of the pandemic, we are going to be facing a number of longer term recovery issues for both our business community, but also for residents who've been, quite frankly, traumatized by some of this experience. So we're going to have to stand up some additional mental health support and capacity for folks and strategy, and come up with some additional and new strategies for helping the community to recover and get back on its feet and deal with the trauma of the losses and of, in reality, a lost year of life in some cases that people have faced this year.
That's super helpful. Just two responses to that. I know that there are, in addition to working with our minority health initiatives and program, which have been outstanding, there are also some local small minority-owned businesses that I think would make excellent partners as we expand some of the contact tracing and some of the necessary staffing to backfill some of those positions that are currently, working on helping to stand up some of our existing efforts as rec staff goes back to camps, et cetera. So I think making it clear on where to apply for those opportunities, I think would be helpful. And on the equity issue, which obviously we've been discussing extensively at every single one of our sessions, and I appreciate the efforts of my colleagues to move forward a more discrete approach specifically within zip codes, which is what we've been doing in practice. And as we'll hear in a little bit, we're going to shift what we had initially thought we were going to do today. But I just want to stress that I think it would be helpful for us to have a more expansive discussion in strategy and rollout. We've touched on it in many different ways, and I know there's a lot of work going on through a number of different areas, but there may be some value in better explaining to the public and seeing what we need to do moving forward, particularly as the second round of federal funding becomes available, to address those equity issues and establish very clear benchmarks for what we want to hit, what we want to achieve, and how we're going to get there, which obviously we're all interested in, all support, all are on the same team to move forward. But I would like to suggest, Mr. President, that at some point we have a discussion specifically focused for an extended period of time, not just as it relates to the entire update, but more specifically how we are rolling out the equity plan. So with that, I yield back to you.
Agreed. Thank you. Yes, we'd love more detail, and I think that'll be a really great discussion. Councilmember Reamer.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Well, I wanted to make a couple of, just a general comment. Maryland, maybe it came out yesterday. It sounds like it did. The announcement about their phasing. So I think it's already been said, but today the state is going to 60 and older. On the 30th, it's going to be 16 and older with underlying medical conditions. I know, Dr. Gales, you already shared this. And then April 13th, it's the final of phase 2C, which is everyone 55 and older and essential workers. It seems to me that we would be well off to just match the state at this point, and then we could eliminate there's a little bit of confusion out there about different prioritizations. And I think we had wanted to move more slowly in the initial phase to ensure that those who are most medically vulnerable would be able to be prioritized. But now we've kind of moved through that oldest group, and we're looking at different kinds of medical vulnerabilities. And it seems to me having a broader group of people who are eligible would support our equity strategy. And at the same time, we would be able to eliminate the small confusion of there's one eligibility for the state and there's a different for the county. And then it just becomes about getting appointments. So, I guess I'd be interested in comments, but it seems to me there's a lot of upside now for us going forward to just align with the state, because they're moving fast. And they may move faster. That's the other thing. We are getting so many people statewide and countywide vaccinated on a daily basis that they're going to have to open it up pretty wide in order to sustain that pace. So it could be that the 16 and older general population happens faster than April 27th. And we wouldn't have to have an order locally to match that. So I'd be interested in comments on that. And then generally speaking, I just wanted to say, it appears to me that well over half of the people in the county who are getting vaccinated every day are getting vaccinated outside of the county, because of the mass vax sites, I think mostly, but people also are going to pharmacies around the state or even out of state. And that's not going to work in the future. We have to be able to drive vaccinations into our local communities where it may not be as easy for folks to get out and go to an appointment that's far away. So I really want to put out a call to the state to recognize that local is the future for the vaccination campaign. And they've got to shift They've got to stop sending all new doses to the statewide sites and start sending more doses to the local communities so that our pharmacies, our hospitals, and our county clinic can actually do the programmatic work to meet the needs of the community, to get the vaccinations where they're going to be hardest to get. That's going to be the phase that's coming on us. It's coming on us faster than probably anyone at the state may understand. So I appreciate a comment on that. Final thing I wanted to ask about, the CDC's guidance now for schools is 3 feet of distance is sufficient for all levels of school unless they are in the highest transmission status, which the county is not in at this time. So my understanding is that the CDC guidance as applied would be that the whole school system, all grades, can be at 3 feet. I wanted to just know what our health, what expectation that the team has as far as working with schools on that. Thank you. Dr. Gales, perhaps.
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Reamer. I will try to go through this and hopefully answer your questions. So the first question you posed or commentary related to the alignment with the state priorities. So we're required to now, the order that was sent out yesterday requires all other entities who give out vaccine to align with the state or will be penalized for that.
Okay, so that's a done deal now.
That was announced yesterday.
I saw that. I didn't quite realize that's what it meant. Thank you.
Yeah, so we are required to align with it. Now, using the governor's words himself, who said just because you're eligible doesn't mean you'll get an appointment, I want folks at home to understand is that as that eligibility increases, we have not seen the comparable increases in doses to be able to meet the needs for everyone. So there is still going to be some time to wait before you're able to get an appointment. But yes, the letter of the law, we will be aligned with the state in terms of those groups being eligible, which again is why we are encouraging folks to, if you're in those groups, to pre-register so we have your information as we continue to move through the prioritization framework. Now, the second component, I wouldn't disagree with you on that at all either, is we have asked that as the state and the federal government actually continues to promote these larger sites, that there is a comparable investment in terms of providing allotments of doses on the local level, recognizing that not everybody can utilize those sites. And there are niche opportunities to be able to address proximity, familiarity, trust, and to leverage those community level resources that people have relationships with to expand outreach, which is what we are ultimately hoping to be able to do with a windfall of doses, is to be able to stand up and support a mass vaccine, right? But also be able to continue to do the community level vaccination that we're doing now, as well as be able to support our community partners to be able to expand those efforts, both in terms of supporting them as a local health department, but also, and I will put this call out to folks as well, for private providers to make sure they register in Immunet so that when the opportunity comes up, the state can send you doses directly to be able to share with your clinical platform and portfolio. So if you are a provider, a clinical provider in the state of Maryland, please register in Immunet if you would like to receive vaccines sent directly and shipped directly to your office or to your clinical program. And the third component related to the CDC distancing guidance is, yes, that did come out. And MSDE and MDH, so the Department of Education and Department of Health, are working together to provide guidance directly to the schools moving forward on that new guidance and language. So I do anticipate that may be coming out very soon. That would take away the need to do something on a local level. There would be state guidance for that.
Thank you, Dr. Gales.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Jawando.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as always, thank you, Dr. Gales, Dr. Kroll, Dr. Stoddard, Dr. Bridges, and your teams for all that you do in a very, very difficult situation with poor is probably too strong of a word or nice of a word, no communication from the state about things that are moving. Just a couple of baseline questions. The 8,000 doses, I'm glad to hear that. Is that an overall increase for the county, or are those coming from other places where they were already being allotted in the county?
We think it's a little, thank you for the question, Councilmember Jawando. We think it's a shift of some of those doses from other areas coming in. For example, in looking at the allotment, for a period of weeks, MedStar Montgomery was receiving a couple of thousand doses to set up a clinic at Leisure World, and that has stopped. And so we think that the county increase in doses is absorbing some of those other doses that have previously been designated for other areas, shifting into the county to the health department allocation. And when we look across, we have seen the hospital share of doses decrease. Well, again, we're continue to be excited to have more doses at the local health department, to be able to have some flexibility to do some of the things that we mentioned. We still have yet to see a comparable increase in the doses overall in the county to be able to sustain and match all of the new folks who are eligible.
Well, that's an important point. I'm glad, we had all said, and as I said in my first statement, I'm very happy about all the work that was described by Dr. Kroll and you about how we have already been prioritizing within the priority zip codes to the ability that we can under the current regulations. We were set today to take a bold step and to continue that work and lower the age for residents that were eligible in these priority zip codes. We have a Board of Health regulation pending that I'm going to have to withdraw in a few minutes. But we had all agreed that recognizing that if you're a Black or Latino resident that's 55 to 65, you die at a higher rate or get sicker from COVID as a white resident who's 65 to 75. And we were going to take this step, as we have since the beginning, when we were focusing on our older residents, and we stayed in 75 plus for a longer period of time, to target our equity strategy, realizing that we were the only ones doing it. The state didn't have a plan. Now they drop in and do 100 doses here and 100 doses there, and have cropped some of the work that we're doing. But now we're not going to be able to do that. So while I'm happy you're getting the extra doses, and we're going to work, you're going to bend over backwards. I know you and Dr. Kroll and Dr. Stoddard will do this. The governor has, by taking this action, has hampered our ability and taken a tool out of the toolbox to target to those who are most vulnerable. I think it's disgusting. I think it's playing politics with people's lives. It's shameful. You see in Prince George's County, when they open the mass vac site, we don't have one, and 10,000 of our residents go over there, and only 3,000 of Prince George's County residents get vaccinations, despite we know what the risks are. You have 80 residents from Montgomery County going to Salisbury to a mass vaccination site. Only 15 of them are non-white, because we know who has access to a car and who can get over there. It's not fair for anyone to have to drive that far, but we know what populations can't get out there. And so this is not just bad for Montgomery County residents, it's bad for the state. And now we've been taking another tool out of our toolbox. And again, I think it's shameful. Dr. Stoddard or Dr. Gales, I guess, were you given a reason why, inconsistent with previous orders, that now every local health department has to follow the state's pacing and prioritization? Was there a reason given for that late night change yesterday? No communication. So not only did you not know about it until yesterday, you were given no reason for it.
No, there was no rationale provided for the change.
Yeah, well, I think I can think of a rationale. It's called politics. And like I said, I want to be very clear. This is a disgusting step, and it's not fair to open it up to 60 plus for everybody when we don't have enough doses. You just told me they're shifting around doses. We don't have enough. I hope we do in the next 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks, but we don't right now. And you're creating an expectation that is not fair. Not only not fair to any resident, it's particularly not fair, and it's going to make us to work even harder to try to target the doses we do have to populations that are dying younger and getting sicker, in particular our Black and Brown and Latino populations. So I appreciate the work you're doing under difficult circumstances. It makes no sense that we find out about this at the 11th hour. And I think we have to do better. And I hope the governor and his team hear this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Dr. Gales, Dr. Kroll, Dr. Stoddard, Dr. Bridgers. Really appreciate all of your efforts, and particularly excited to hear some of the progress being made. The fact that every educator in MCPS has received the opportunity to be vaccinated, and the vast majority of non-public school teachers. I mean, that is significant progress from where we were just a few weeks ago. And so thank you to your teams and the coordination with the school system and the non-public schools and Johns Hopkins. That is really positive. Related to that, now that the Johns Hopkins, which that was a serious part of their strategy, was to focus on that particular population, given its importance, which I think was a real positive, and they work closely with you, which I think we all appreciate. Is there any thought to change that priority, perhaps to childcare, which is also classified by the state as the education sector, to have, are there any conversations to have a similar partnership with Johns Hopkins Medicine with their doses to really focus and have a coordinated effort beyond the 100 that I know have been dedicated to childcare personnel?
Thank you, Councilmember Friedson, for the question. We actually have, over the last multiple weeks, been sending out with links to register and get appointments for child care providers beyond the 100 that we had allocated, because the allotment to Hopkins actually has decreased as well, so they're not getting the same amount. So starting, I want to say 3 to 4 weeks ago, we've been including child care staff in our clinics. And so I don't have the nice, clean statistics that Dr. Stoddard presented in terms of the number who have provided, but we have been prioritizing and we're working through that group steadily over the last several weeks.
I really appreciate that. Sorry, Dr. Stoddard.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw a message last night from that we have a team that's working on these tier 2, we call them tier 2, tier 3 team, which is everyone, the essential workers in 1B, tiers 2 and tier 3 that we are focused on, including the child care workers. Mm-hmm. And I do know that, and this includes grocery store, manufacturing, and others. I do know that everyone who is currently pre-registered as one of those categories has received an invitation to be vaccinated. Now, that doesn't mean that every child care worker, because we know that there are child care workers who have not pre-registered that we need to get into our system, but everyone in the system so far has received at least one opportunity and will receive additional opportunities over the coming days. I saw a message sent out midnight last night about another opportunity for essential workers to be vaccinated. So as Dr. Gales alluded to, we are making substantial progress through this group. Obviously, there isn't like a single way to track all the child care workers. There isn't like a single institution to track all the child care workers, particularly those that are part of that informal economy that we've talked about before, who aren't registered child care workers. And so we're going to do some more, sort of due diligence to see where exactly we are and who needs the limitations. But I suffice it to say, Dr. Gales is absolutely correct. We've made much more substantial progress than a couple thousand through that group, just through the opportunities through the pre-registered list.
I really appreciate that, and the fact that every
sorry, I was going to add to that.
Please.
That Office of Education, our Early Child Care and Education Office, is working with the known child care providers to make sure that we continue to message them to get their staff in. So we're continuously outreaching, even though the list has been gone through for the first time. We'll go back through the list, but also do more outreach, continue to do outreach to the providers that are licensed providers in the county to get them to register and to pre-register for a vaccine.
I appreciate that. That's news that everybody who had pre-registered in that category has been offered a vaccine appointment. That's significant. If there's any way, I know it's much harder with this than it is with MCPS, for instance, but to have a number of the anticipated number of childcare personnel and then to kind of check our progress each week, I think that would be really helpful. I think it's one of the reasons why the educators went so significantly, was that there was a goal, there was a number, there was a date. And then you did tremendous work in order to get there. I know how hard you and your team had to work together with partners in order to make that happen. Okay, just switching gears quickly from that. On the homebound question, I continue to be concerned, and I know you are as well, as we move to the additional categories. The older residents, as you have aptly stated before, are 4 times more likely, 80 and over, to have the worst outcomes as we talk about our equity strategy. Focusing on the data and the older residents, I know has been part of that as well. Also, in addition to the racial and zip code focus, which is an important focus. For homebound residents, I know you have been working on these pilot programs. Given the additional vaccines we're receiving this week, is there any thought to expanding that pilot program? And could you just give us an update on that? I know you're also working with partners in the community to try to do this outreach, since it's different than other vaccination appointments. But if you could update us on any plans for expansion of the pilot and how you're working with those community partners, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. So we're actually not going to focus on just one particular provider for that. We are creating a network of providers to be able to support those efforts, recognizing they have different footprints in the community. So we're meeting with one of those pilot folks today to actually review how that has gone so far and things we need to change and tweak with that so that it is successful moving forward. And we also are exploring other options as well to be able to chip away at that homebound group. What I will say is, in the absence of specifics of those, as we continue to work through the details, is that as the allotments increase, we will have dedicated doses set aside to provide to those groups. So for the folks who do fit into that category, I don't want you to feel that as we add more people to it, doses will shift there. And the strategies that we have in terms of making those announcements about where doses go to support those clinics, we will keep a dedicated stash, if you will, for those homebound efforts to make sure that those seniors or any other individual, regardless of their age, still have access to the vaccine, even as we continue to move through and add others to the prioritization groups.
That's great. And in terms of communicating with those folks, those who are 75 and older who checked off homebound when they pre-registered, if there's still confusion on how they'll find out about appointments, and so if there's clarity on the email address they should be looking for or the phone number that they might get a call or a text from, you can share that with us and allow us to make sure we're communicating that to them. As we work with different partners, that's positive because it allows us to reach more people, but not having uniformity also makes it a bit confusing for those who may not be totally technologically savvy. So if there's a way to create some uniformity, obviously some of this is out of our control based on the process from the state and beyond, but that which is within our control, if it's possible to do that, that's great. Before turning it over to colleagues, I just appreciated the comments by Dr. Kroll about the mental health challenges. I think we're going to have broad community and then individual post-traumatic stress from this past year and the amount of trauma that so many have faced. And we need a strategy for that. And it's going to have to be all hands on deck, and all of us are going to have to be included. So I really appreciate you lifting that up. And I know all of us want to be a part of that to support you in that. And then in terms of the staffing changes, both on the mental health aspect and on the different activities, do we have a timeline for just a plan for what those contracting staffing needs are going to look like as we head towards the late spring and summer months and that transition that we're expecting to be coming hopefully sooner rather than later?
Late spring and summer months will be about right in terms of description around this. Councilmember Friesen, we have been talking about this with our teams, starting with some of the work on children's service issues, and we've already begun to do some work around that. What the expansion looks like and what the need is still a work in progress, and we are early days in the discussions. I expect that they will move apace, especially as we go through some of the work around school-based mental health and partnering with MCPS, and as we expand mobile crisis, we're kind of folding those conversations together as best we can. But my sense of this is that we have to have a plan that is not just something that's in place by summer, but that is rolling out by summer. But I expect that, especially as we get into the fall of the year, when schools reopen and we start seeing children showing up in schools and a large-scale reopening of things, that's when we're going to see the need for some behavioral health support in the community and in our workforce as well. I think this is also going to hit us in the workforce. So we're talking about it and rolling out strategies as we speak. It'll take some time to sort of really flesh that out.
Appreciate that. I think, that is the most appropriate, besides business relief and resident relief programs that we're going to have to continue to put in place with the federal money, the contracting of personnel so we can keep doing the public health response and then ramp up to the other efforts, that one-time expense for, those additional personnel that we're going to need for this unprecedented moment is the most appropriate use of that federal money. So look forward to seeing your thoughts in that plan sooner rather than later. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Glass.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for these updates. And, resetting the conversation, right? We see what the governor has been doing and continues to do. And I just want to remind everybody that it was President Biden who pledged that vaccine eligibility would expand to every adult by May 1st. And so I am pleased that Governor Hogan has committed the state to meeting that goal and doing so by April 27th. And so that is all good news for everybody. But to meet that goal, we still have more work to do. And, I continue to be disturbed by the types of conversations that are being had and, quite frankly, not being had. And so if I understand what I just heard correctly, yesterday at 1:30 in the afternoon, we got word that every vaccine provider needs to follow the state's eligibility framework. But we had no time to prepare, we had no time to update our website, and we had no time to communicate that with our residents. And today the governor has another press conference at 2:30, and we have absolutely no idea what he's going to say, which is par for the course. And so I just want to ask, quite frankly, to all the doctors who are here, these types of communications, when we are given orders with little notice, no notice, what does it mean on the back end? What snapping of fingers do we all have to do here in the county within the Department of Health and Human Services to prepare for these types of undertakings? And Dr. Stoddard too, for Homeland Security.
So it's I'll let Dr. Gill speak to the issue around the vaccination piece of this, but I will say around the communications piece, the communications are so broad and diverse in this county that every time we make a change, it's got to get communicated to you all, to council members, to our community partners, to the public, to the media. Web pages have to change. So it sends a vibration through the whole system of having to write and rewrite and things that are produced for us, and get them out to community members and to our community partners who share the word. And there are always still questions. People don't hear it the first couple of times you say it. And that's been true in every meeting that I've been in for this full year. You say it, and then the question comes back, well, can you tell us about this? And so we're repeating ourselves, which means we're now back in the public and having to take time to do that for every major change that we have. And clarify the confusion that exists around that. So it does send ripples, and it requires hours of additional work. The team, as quickly as we can, because as soon as the message comes out and gets public, the questions start flowing in from every corner about, well, what does this mean for us?
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if Dr. Gales, the other side is translation. We obviously have to translate everything, and that is an instantaneous process to make it flawless. And the other side of it is that, as Dr. Gales alluded to, the change wasn't explained, which means we're left in a position of explaining a change that we weren't making of our own volition, right? So, obviously we have to sort of, explain to our residents why are you changing this prioritization at the 11th hour, essentially, for some of these groups. And we're left saying, well, the state it looks like we're just pointing fingers at the state, but if we're not given an explanation for what the rationale for the change is, it makes it very hard for us to explain what the rationale for the change is, other than saying the state told us we had to do it, so we did it. And I hate to say it, but we've kind of gotten used to not getting information, which again, you should never get used to that kind of thing. But it's now a surprise when we get any sort of information or intel, as opposed to an expectation. And it's sort of an unfortunate thing with the way the relationship is right now. And we try and make it work to the extent that we can. Like, again, we don't know what's going to be said at 2:30 today, but we're preparing like it's sort of like a choose your own adventure. We have like alternate pathways that we can go depending on what the governor says or doesn't say. And so it's more work because we have to think about, we have to do like scenario-based planning for a press announcement, which is, not, it's something you should have information about, and it's unfortunate.
And I think that to add to what my colleagues have already said, is it speaks to missed opportunities to actually plan and work together to develop strategies. Because if there are conversations and opportunities to workshop ideas before they're announced, it not only creates the opportunity to have more seamless, robust communication strategies, so that it's the expectation is, because we get lots of texts and calls as something is announced, and then there's a flurry of emails. How are we going to say this, and we're going to do it, and everyone's got expectations. And unfortunately, in a lot of those situations, I personally have to say, stop, let me find out more information as to what happened so that can inform what is said, so that wrong information is not put out there. But again, it just speaks to their missed opportunities where there are multiple people who could be in the room to be a part of those conversations, so that when they are announced, all of the different potential implications of those strategies have been thought through, they've been vetted, they've been looked at from the state level as well as the local level. And it would give us more time on the local level to not only be able to message it better to our constituents, but to also be able to step up and have a lot of the plans we already are working on and looking to implement, to be able to, integrate those into the larger discussion. Again, we're excited to potentially, as we discussed, to be able to offer the vaccine to more people. But yeah, we unfortunately have become used to this circle of communication.
Well, I appreciate the candor, because as you alluded, all of us are getting communication and questions from our constituents in real time whenever an announcement is made. And none of us on this Zoom, no one in county government is given a heads up. And it's really important for our residents to understand that we want to be able to provide answers and insight in real time, but the lack of communication leads to missed opportunities, as has been said. And so, I'm going to throw it out there, as all of us have over the last many months. Governor Hogan, help us, help you to help vaccinate all of our residents. Let's do this collaboratively, and please give us updates and give us heads up so that we can update our website, get our communication channel in line, and allow all of us to be prepared, so that when our constituents, our shared constituents, express concern, that we can provide them with some clear guidance and answers. And so just because this has been the way it's been done over the last number of months, and quite frankly over the last year, doesn't mean it needs to continue being that way. So I look forward to hitting reset on this relationship, so that we can all do the right thing and get more people vaccinated. So thank you very much for that insight and lifting the veil as to how decisions in Annapolis affect us here in Montgomery County. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. No, great question, Councilmember, and great answers from all of you. I wrote some of this down, that it's a surprise when we get information or intel not in expectation, and what a missed opportunity we have to collaborate and workshop some of these ideas. It's very, very frustrating. And, hopefully if any media are watching us, there hasn't been enough of this. I hope they'll ask the governor at 2:30 why he allows this lack of communication from his employee, our health officer, and our top health officials in the middle of a pandemic. You wouldn't run a corporation this way. You wouldn't run a government agency this way. It's crazy that we're running a state this way in the middle of a pandemic, but we continue to one year into the pandemic. Councilmember Friedson. I'm sorry, Councilmember Glass.
Yeah, we did.
Councilmember Navarro. I got to catch up here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that, if anybody had just tuned in for the very first time in terms of this conversation, let's just say hypothetically, it just continues to be an illogical exchange, given the fact that this is the largest jurisdiction in this state. And of course, we are still dealing with the public health crises of unprecedented proportions. And so, I sit here trying to understand, because all along, my particular interest has been, how do we best address such an extraordinary challenge in the most strategic way? And time after time, week after week, here we are basically struggling with the same exact challenge. And I'm at odds. There are, of course, particular theories out there, but perhaps I'm just too hopeful. I just refuse to believe that this is simply a political issue. It doesn't make sense, because we're talking about people's lives. We are talking about a county of over 1 million people, with an extraordinary diverse community, and a huge contributor to the state's economy and quality of life as well. And so I'm just constantly just blown away by the disconnect that continues to play out. And I guess, we will have to once again figure this situation out, that we did not have any previous, sort of heads up, no notification whatsoever. We'll have to figure it out like we always do. But I think, again, our constituents, they don't want to hear about all of these frustrations. They want to know, how come at this particular moment in time, given this framework, why is it that the state leadership continues to not communicate with the leadership in the county, and makes it so difficult for us to literally do something so basic and important as now rolling out a vaccine to vulnerable residents and then to everyone, so that we can get to a point in the state where we can hopefully begin to turn the page on this pandemic. I just don't understand. So having said that, I was wondering if we have been able to establish some clear lines of communication with our federal representatives vis-a-vis now that things begin to open up more. The President Biden has made his announcement, et cetera. I know I've asked this question before. Do we have any particular direct line of communication to see whether our federal partners can then help jurisdictions like ours, given this experience, advocate so that we can get allotments directly allocated to us, given that we know best our communities? We're on the ground. We have these extraordinary partners who are working right now on the ground, who are literally faced with the need that exists and the frustration that exists, that you can't respond to it. So that's my first question. Have we established a clear line of communications with our federal reps to understand how they can best advocate for that kind of approach?
Let's not cover Dr. Kroll. I don't know if he has any comments, but we have been talking to our federal delegation to a degree. Yeah, I mean, the information they're sending along to the state is that we're going to see this large increase around the 27th, so next week. I also know functionally, we've heard through FEMA that they're going to begin to require vaccine equity in their reimbursement process, which will in turn drive people to do it indirectly, because if they want the FEMA reimbursement, they'll be required to show their vaccine equity plans associated with the distribution of these doses. That said, public health system is largely a state-driven system, and so the levers of the federal government to make states do certain things and and then in turn allow counties to do certain things are not 100% as flexible as I'm sure the federal government would like in some cases. But we've clearly heard the message around the goal of the president to get more doses out. We're seeing functionally in FEMA and other places that they're starting to push this equity issue further administratively, which has the impact of seeing it substantially and substantively on the ground. And so we are working through our federal delegation. I just don't know how much, I don't know how much latitude they have constitutionally to sort of work around some of the states who may not want, who want to have their autonomy too. And so I think that's what's sort of, there's a few things at play here. And our hope is this, that President Biden comes through with this commitment of increased doses. And more doses makes everything easier. When you're making scarce resource allocation decisions that have to be equitable, it's hard, and we're doing it, but it's hard. And it gets substantially easier to make those equity-based decisions and to make them and address them more quickly when there's a lot more doses. And so I think the governor has made this announcement because he believes the federal government is going to come through with more doses. And we believe this administration is going to as well. We just, we really need to come, because otherwise we've created some massive expectations that we won't be able to meet.
Thank you. And I keep asking that because, I listened very attentively to President Biden's press conference when he first announced the commitment. And he did mention that one of the things that we're looking at was the sort of distribution directly to local jurisdictions. So I would like for us to track that. Now, secondly, in terms of this whole equity issue, and as it was stated by my colleague, Councilmember Joando, we were working around the clock this weekend trying to figure out what was the best way forward to target whatever limited amounts we had. But now, given this, unprecedented announcement, things go back to square one. And I've heard Councilmember Albornoz, request a session for us to review this. It's something that I'm really interested in, especially because of this conversation about the impending increase in the amount of vaccines. Yes, we're very fortunate to already have partners that are starting to do this work out in the community, but I think this is our time to absolutely enhance and expand our infrastructure, our logistics, especially in the hardest hit zip codes. And so when we get back to that conversation, that item that our Councilmember Albornoz requested, I would like to get some details on what that enhancement and that expansion looks like. How do we believe, what are some of the opportunities and barriers? Again, with the money coming in from the federal government, and gives us that opportunity to definitely, be ready and hopefully then, see some progress there. So I would like to request that specifically. And then also, obviously, the whole communication process and strategy that, now we have to pivot once again to address. Lastly, just of course, as we do all the time, as soon as there are some specific, sort of bullet points, talking points that we can all disseminate, I know it's been, very short period of time, it would be super helpful so that we can let folks know exactly what this latest announcement means and whatever is going to be announced this afternoon. And again, I thank every one of you for continuing to do extraordinary things for our residents.
Thank you, Councilmember. If I could just follow up, I know on the equity plan and the ability, the outreach strategy that we're employing. I know, Dr. Kroll, I suggested a few weeks ago that we at some point begin door-to-door outreach in some of the hardest hit zip codes with culturally competent, multilingual canvassers with tablets. At the time, I remember you thought the risk of community transmission was probably too high. Are we at the point now where we could begin that, or do you anticipate we would be in the coming weeks?
So as it turns out, the Council President Hooker, the census outreach teams have already moved into that phase and have been doing some door-to-door outreach. They did, just by way of example, a mass pre-registration event at one of the counties, in one of the community in Rockville a few weeks ago, and did door tags on 1,000 doors of people. But they have been reaching and talking to people. I don't know that they have yet been equipped with tablets, et cetera, to do that on-site pre-registration process, but they do have that capacity, and they've all been trained in how to do that. So it's a matter of doing it on cell phones if necessary, or walking people through that. So they are outreaching to folks, and they are masked and appropriately protected for this moment. And we have talked about where it's necessary, where they're going to be in regular close contact with someone for an extended period, getting them in the queue for vaccination as well. So Those are ongoing conversations. They're doing that. They are scheduling town halls and doing group meetings wherever they can and wherever is necessary, as well as doing materials in languages. And we're working with them to identify providers, partners in the community who can not only pre-register folks, but when it's time, can actually schedule them. So as we discussed some weeks ago, so that we can eliminate some of that digital divide that's still a chief obstacle to getting folks into our system.
Right. Thank you for that. I'm really glad we've been talking about it for a while. I'm glad to hear it's beginning, and I know we'll get into greater detail at the briefing on the equity plan. And then just to follow up on the question about the conversations with our federal delegation, there have been some. I agree there probably needs to be more on this topic. I would have, I was at least in touch with Congressman Raskin's office when he was preparing the letter with Congressman Trone to ask for the mass vaccination site that also went into the continual shortchanging of Montgomery County in terms of the number of vaccines that we were getting. We also, the Council Vice President and I had a meeting with Senator Cardin's Chief of Staff that went into quite a bit of this, as well as the American Rescue Plan and the infrastructure bill. And then we also were in a meeting with the Chiefs of Staff of our entire congressional delegation. And I think now that their recent announcements from the White House have given us more indication of their direction, we should follow up on some of those items. But we've had a number of very productive conversations. Councilmember, go ahead.
Before you, just wanted to say that one of the things that we now have to do in the county and in the department, I think, is begin to pivot some attention to the recovery issues. We are talking about equity and vaccination, and we are still in the throes of that. We have to stay focused on that as well. But the funding that is coming down for the Recovery Act now and Rescue Act is across a wide swath of need. And we need to once again turn attention to equity in the distribution and allocation of those resources as well. And this is a poverty index and looking at down to census tract level and the way we've done around vaccination, where the need is greatest, and figuring out how we manage to make sure that folks who have gotten funding before, gotten resources before, can continue and once again get resources, but also people who have not gotten, who are now hitting hardships that the first round of funding didn't cover, can get addressed and supported.
Thank you. Councilmember Rice.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I find myself incredibly frustrated. My first question is for Dr. Gales. Dr. Gales, what is your understanding as your role in this pandemic? You've stated numerous times that you haven't been consulted nor advised or apprised of anything that's happening at the state level when it comes to making these decisions. So what is your job? I mean, are you just there just to kind of do the governor's bidding? Is that what your role is supposed to be?
Thank you, Councilmember Rice, for the question, and hope I can answer it. The COMAR regulations lay out very clearly what the role of the health officer should be doing and what we are tasked with. And ultimately, that's to keep the residents of our respective jurisdictions safe, providing expert guidance around those particular issues, managing all aspects of the public health response, from clinical opportunities to surveillance and epidemiology and other support services, part of the public health enterprise. And in a pandemic, those responsibilities are heightened in terms of being able to provide guidance to multiple other individuals and bodies, such as the county council, as board of health, the county executive, and also working very closely with my peer colleagues throughout the state, the other 23 health officers, to provide guidance to the Department of Health, and ultimately, hopefully, provide guidance to the governor's office in terms of how these decisions are made. It is our hope and expectation that we also, in providing that guidance to MDH, is that they would have a seat at the table, and certainly be an influential advisor to the governor and his staff in terms of making those public health related decisions. There have been a few instances where we have been workshopped ideas, for example, to ask our opinion, but more often than not, we do unfortunately find out the new directives coming from the governor's office when the general public does in the setting of a press conference or a press briefing?
So I wrote down expert guidance, manage pandemic, be able to give the council appropriate guidance. I'm not sure how you can do any of those things if you're not at the table all the time. This isn't just one where you pick and choose which one you feel like sharing information about and you feel like collaborating with. This is a pandemic. This requires us to be all hands on deck all the time, always connected. And it's incredible to me, incredible that there would be an elected official. If we were to do this, if we were to say, you know what, we're not going to listen to Dr. Gales or Dr. Stoddard or Dr. Bridgers or Dr. Kroll the majority of the time. We're just going to pick and choose every now and then. What would our constituency say? What would the same constituency who has the governor as a representative say about us if we were to say, you know what, Dr. Gales, we're not going to talk to you about some of this stuff where we just want to do our own thing. I recall back to our most recent discussion about sports, and I know that my staff worked hand in hand with you. Councilmember Reamer's staff worked hand in hand with you to develop these regulations, understanding that you weren't supportive of all the things that we were going to move forward with. But we still knew that we had to because it was the right thing to do for the safety of our residents as a whole. This governor has not done that at all. And it's a dereliction of duty, I believe. It is something where I hope folks remember this. Remember the fact that there are Black and brown people that are dying. There are Black and brown people that are getting affected by this disease more than anyone else. And you can hold a press conference, Governor Hogan, all you want to and talk about equity. Where's the damn plan? Because I haven't seen it. Dr. Gales, have you seen an equity plan from the state in terms of ensuring that its most vulnerable residents will be protected when it comes to the dissemination of the vaccine?
No, there's, as best as I can tell, there's no formal plan. There are different actions that have come out, with different efforts. But as far as an actual written comprehensive plan, no.
So, Governor Hogan, you talk about where's the damn mask? I ask you, where's the damn plan? Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you to all of my colleagues, especially the Councilmember Rice for his thoughts just now. Could we be clear on Montgomery County Public Schools and the Board of Health, how that interrelates? If the Board of Health says yes, Montgomery County Public Schools, you can do something. But then it's up to the Montgomery County Public Schools whether they do it. We don't dictate it. Am I correct on clearing that?
Not all aware, but my understanding is you all would set the limits as the Board of Health, but they would have choice within those limits how to operate.
And my point being on the earlier discussion about the 3 feet versus 6 feet or whatever the Montgomery County Public Schools would decide is appropriate for them, they couldn't go less than 6 feet. I mean, they couldn't go more. I guess they could go more than 6 feet, but it would be up to them as to how they handle it. They couldn't be less than 3 feet at this point. And someone has contacted me, and I'm not 100% sure on how to answer this, but if someone has received both shots of either the Pfizer or the Moderna, do they still need to every now and then go and be tested? How does that work?
So if receiving both shots 2 weeks after the second dose gets you to your maximum level of protection, the 95% that we've talked about before. But you can still be a carrier of COVID-19. You're highly less likely to exhibit any symptoms if you were to catch it and become positive, but you can still be a carrier. What I would say is if you are concerned about an exposure to someone else that has tested positive or had concerning symptoms, you should definitely get tested. And if you are going to be around family members or others that particularly are vulnerable and either have not been vaccinated or, have tenuous physical situations, that it would be a good idea to get tested, to know your status, to prevent, potentially transmitting it to someone else, even if you yourself may have mild to no symptoms if you were to contract it.
Thank you.
One other piece to that, council member, is that the CDC has opined that if you are fully vaccinated, as in 2 weeks post second dose, or Johnson & Johnson 2 weeks post single dose, you are exposed to someone that does have COVID, you are not required to quarantine unless you develop symptoms, at which point you isolate and get tested. And so there are some, CDC's webpage does do a very good job of explaining sort of what the cans and can'ts do, and I would encourage anyone who's been vaccinated to review those just to make sure that they understand exactly what they should do. I mean, there's, sort of quote unquote required, what they should do. CDC does a very good job of laying it out.
Thank you. It's already been touched on, and we thank you for the information about the door-to-door vaccinations and outreach. But I do think that the more we can let our people who are homebound know, and of course it becomes very difficult to let them know because in some cases they're not paying as much attention to the discussion as some others are. But I do think the more that we can let them know that we are here to help and to have people help them become registered and whatnot is obviously something that we need to continue to do. And it's been touched on about the resources for mental health and everything else associated with the crisis. If we need additional resources, we need to be doing additional resources. This is you handle a crisis in the way that a crisis needs to be handled. As to the whole idea about the direct receiving from the federal government, we have to keep in mind that if our population is around of Montgomery County is over 1 million people, 1.5 million, or whatever this census comes back and says, well, that means we're larger. Montgomery County is larger than about 7 or 8 different states. And and not to pick on my friends from South Dakota, but if South Dakota is receiving it directly, by population, it would make sense that the federal government would allow a place with a population larger than 7 or 8 states to receive it directly as well. So I think we need to keep that in mind. And then my final point is the confusion on this whole issue is dramatic. Not only do we have the confusion within the state of, this week the Montgomery County or whoever can do it the way that they would like to do it or know that it's best to do it, but then next week it changes. And then, of course, we have the whole issue of that Washington does things differently. The state of Virginia does, the Commonwealth of Virginia does things differently. I mean, so it gets so very confusing to the people who are trying to follow this. So I think that we need to continue to do the very best that we can, and we are. And I think we always, and I'm going to end it with this, I think we should always thank everyone involved, and especially the people on this call, but everyone involved for actually doing the hard work it takes to keep our public safe. In a lot of cases, people believe that this is done by magic, and it is not. It is done by hard work and dedicated work by the people actually doing the work. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Reamer.
Thank you. I just wanted to expand on the comments Dr. Stoddard was making about the projection the projection of continued dosing and what it means. At our current pace of about 5,500 Montgomery County residents getting vaccinated daily, I believe most of them outside the county, but because that's where the doses are. At that pace, by May 1st, we would be at 65% of the population that is eligible in the county having been vaccinated. I am skeptical that that can be done without the widest possible eligibility.
Oh,
Dr. Crowell, you may not be on mute.
okay. Just stepping away from my mic.
That's fine. And I believe that's what the intent here is to open the doors widely in order to continue to be able to administer those doses. It may be difficult to achieve 65% of the eligible population having been vaccinated, without having very, very wide eligibility, just because there are limits to human behavior. And so, I think that is what's underlying the governor's pace and opening up eligibility very broadly now. And of course, it does not prohibit our equity strategy. In fact, I think it could help our equity strategy, but I recognize it's a different policy strategy. I think that's the distinction here, is that, there's one path is to have a policy strategy, another is a more administrative strategy. But I think at the policy level, the issue is that we're vaccinating people at such a clip that if the eligibility is not more widely open, then there's a big risk that doses would go unadministered. And I presume that's what the governor's, seeking to ensure doesn't happen. I don't know. I mean, I wish we did know. If Dr. Gales wants to comment on that, but in any event, I think that it's generally very good news that eligibility is opening up. It confirms confidence in the continued manufacturing of the vaccinations and the continued supply from the federal to the state. And I think that in all likelihood, the number of county residents who will get vaccinated is going to increase daily from where we're at now. 5,500, 2 weeks from now, it could be 7,000. Who knows? I don't know. Nobody knows. Well, somebody knows. But I also think that won't happen unless more doses are available here in the county, at our hospitals, at our pharmacies, through our county clinics, with mobile clinics, with visiting homebound seniors, with, going into communities where people are less connected, are less cognizant of procedures and rules that they may have to go through, aren't as able to make an appointment, online, all those barriers. And the only way we're going to reach that kind of goal by the end of April of having 65% of the eligible population vaccinated would be with, I think, a Herculean administrative effort. So, I think we should be concerned about our ability to make that happen, and just ensure that we have the partnerships in place and the plans in place and so forth. But, we are able to continue with our equity strategy, acknowledging it's a different approach than one that is focused on eligibility. It's just focused on appointments and how we invite people in for appointments. Anything else you want to say, Dr. Gales or Dr. Stoddard?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we largely agree that eligibility should, broaden as we get more vaccine. I think the challenge that we had is the concern we really saw is back in when the phase 1B, 1C announcements were made. They were a week apart. And you had a lot of people in 1B who felt like because they could see 1C coming, and they're like, well, I haven't got my vaccine yet. What does that mean for me? It's a messaging concern as much as it is anything else, where you create this expectation of availability when you give people eligibility. And whether, just the same as going to 0% restrictions sends the message that we're open for business, COVID's over, even though it's not. And we have these other sort of counter messages that we have to do distancing and masking. It's got, it is counter to the overall message when you say we're moving through these eligibility factors so quickly. We estimate that between the age of 16 and 64, those underlying health conditions is somewhere between 135 and 150,000 Montgomery County residents. That is 135 to 150,000 people who will need to be vaccinated over essentially a 2-week period before we move into the next tier of broadening eligibility. And so obviously, absent knowing the doses are here and are coming, it's very concerning to have set an expectation between the 13th and the 27th for that fairly large, substantial group of people. And oh, by the way, I'm not sure everyone's going to be as ethical as to say, I don't have an underlying health condition and therefore I'm not going to attest to it. So it's probably going to be more people showing up with a claim of a medical condition that requires them to be vaccinated. And so I think it's just as we were concerned when the governor went and announced 1B and 1C at the same time, we would rather say, I think there's no problem with being aggressive about the next phase, but pre-announcing something that's 4 weeks away on the supposition that we're going to receive more doses, got us in trouble last time.
Well, right. I mean, I agree that the state may have moved too quickly from 1B to 1C. But now I think we have to have plans in place to reach deeper into the population than and people who are not necessarily, waiting around all day long to get an appointment. And that's where we're going to be in 3 weeks if we keep up this pace, in a month. I mean, and I don't think there's any question about the continued federal production of procurement of these doses. That's really not been in any dispute, as a high degree.
What has been, though, is that they have promised the surge was supposed to have come 2 weeks ago, and they've pushed it back till the end of March. And I think I very much believe that this administration is working very hard to expand. It's just I have concerns that we're sitting here at April 15th, not having seen this significant surge, knowing that we've got our full adult population coming in less than 2 weeks at that point. And so it's just we've tended to want to be more cautious and expand as we have vaccine available to do it. But that's why we have a pre-registration list, because we can expand overnight essentially and add new people into the pool, as opposed to setting an arbitrary date and having that be the driver for when, I think we've always said, like, when we can't be equitable, we move on to the next group. I mean, I guess, with eligibility, all you do is those free-for-all appointments at our pharmacies will be taken up by healthy adult residents and not by people with underlying health conditions. That's functionally what you will see at those timelines.
Councilmember Rimmer, I think that just to clarify something, I think I heard Dr. Stoddard say, we have moved from one group to the next group as we have vaccinated primarily in that preceding group. So we've managed that through our pre-registration process and opened up to the next group. But the thing that I think I hear you, one of the things I implied in what you're saying, I think, is that there's a need for capacity, the ability to push those doses out as they come here. And that's a piece that we are working on now with our providers and with expanding our provider relationships so that we have doses as far as the county is concerned. Two thoughts about that. One of them is that it won't ever be the county health office's department or the health department's responsibility to manage all of that expanded capacity. The states, the pharmacies, the mass vaccination sites all have to play a role in that. And the second one is that it has been utterly unpredictable about virtually unpredictable, the number of doses we're going to get from week to week and when we're going to get something versus when we're not going to get something. I live with the expectation that at some point we're going to go from our 8,800 doses a week to 25,000 doses a week or some ridiculous number like that. And I want to set some expectation for this, folks. We will not be able to keep up with that initially. It will take some time to get a response, to get ourselves into place, no matter how many people we provide. Getting those doses out, providers we have, getting those doses out is going to take some time. And there will be doses that we will be getting out as fast as we can. But I think it's important for folks to know that because it's unpredictable, no matter how we expand it out, it's an unknown. I don't know what the federal government is going to do. I don't know what the state's distribution plan is going to look like. And until we know that, and even once we know that, given how we learn about it, tomorrow's press conference, the ability to react quickly to that is always challenging. Right now, we've been able to manage that and react quickly to it because the doses that have been dropped in on us have been manageable through us and through our partners. I think that's going to change at some point. I'm hopeful that will change, in fact.
Thank you. I think Joe Biden has set May 1st as the date for all adults to be eligible, because at that point, if we don't have such wide eligibility, our administration rate could slow down. That's my interpretation of the rationale there. So they want to set the framework for the states and the localities to plan that they've worked out the supply from the manufacturers, and it is of sufficient volume that if we're going to get these into arms along the timeline that the Biden administration wants us to, we're going to have to be at all adults eligible and have the doors open that wide, by May 1st.
I hope that the implication of opening the doors wide is that there are doses following. That's, of course, we've not been our experience with the state opening up eligibility, and this is not the lag.
Not yet. It has not been that way yet.
I'm hoping that President Biden that you're right about that interpretation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other requests to speak. Let me echo what everybody said to thank you so much for all your hard work under very difficult circumstances, and we'll continue to hope for a more collaborative approach from the state and better communication from the governor starting today, hopefully. Now we can begin our Coronavirus Relief Fund briefing. Mr. Madalino is joining us for this item. Glad to see you, Mr. Madalino.
Thank you very much, Council President Hooker. Do you want me to go ahead and get started?
Please.
So I didn't know if you were going to start with Ms. Michelson or anyone else on the council staff about their packet, or you wanted me to jump right into it.
I think you can jump right in, Ms. Michelson. I actually asked that question, and Ms. Michelson authorized me to call directly on you.
Okay, so you have our update of our special appropriation tracker. As you can see through it, we have spent down most of the funds. The largest items that remain to be spent are the rental assistance program, and part of that is as we clear out the applications that have come in, we are hopeful that by the end of the week we will have gotten most of the money out. Of course, I think the last time we spoke about this may have been in January, so shortly after the action by Congress at the end of the year to extend the CRF deadline through the end of calendar year 21, and before the Biden administration was able to get the American Rescue Plan through. So there are so many moving parts through these various appropriations. As you know, there's in rental assistance, there's the additional $30 million we received out of the December action of Congress. And then there's, we anticipate another $25 million will be coming directly to us from the American Rescue Plan for rental assistance. So potentially by the time Memorial Day comes around, we will have $75 million in funding for rental assistance to put out over the following 18 months. So we have a much longer time frame to spend this money, and we are obviously dealing with a variety of issues related to when moratoriums end at the federal level, at the state level, whatever action the General Assembly winds up taking before the end of the session in 3 weeks. So there still are a lot of moving parts around rental assistance. So I just wanted to use one of Dr. Gale's trademarked phrases, level set expectations about rental assistance and what we're able to report and how the spending will go on during the next few weeks, months, and in fact, over the whole next year. I'm happy to report that the the state has informed us that we will be getting more money for the restaurant assistance program, the hospitality assistance program, and even a small amount of money to help with online retailers out of set aside from the State Relief Act that put some money aside for retailers out of the online sales tax. So we're moving along with a clip about spending the special appropriations that have been authorized so far. We have, if you go to page 4 of your document, we have continued to work with FEMA in order to get all of our submissions in order. We did submit on page 4 submissions that are listed 2.0, 2.5, 3.0. Those submissions were received by FEMA. They sent back with a series of questions. They wanted them reformatted. We've been continuing to go back and forth with FEMA about that reformatting and preparing all of the narrative associated with our requests. The good news is because this reformatting and these requests pushed our submissions into the Biden administration, we are dealing with a different administration with a different view towards FEMA. I believe the American Rescue Plan put in an additional $50 billion for FEMA for reimbursements. So FEMA has money to provide the reimbursements. And I would note that Congress, in passing the American Rescue Plan, the Senate at their overnight amendments did specifically put in a provision that authorized the American Rescue Plan dollars to be spent on hazard pay for all government employees who needed to respond to the coronavirus at a rate of up to $13 an hour. So Congress specifically embraced the concept that we had been functioning under for the prior year, for those 9 months that we had the pay differential in effect. So we have returned to our congressional delegation to say to FEMA, look, Congress has specifically said that that hazard pay should be an eligible expenditure, and hazard pay given to all employees who are responding, not to the virus, not just those handful of employees who are just dealing with direct impacts, like during the aftermath of a hurricane, where you might say half of your fire department is doing search and rescue, and half of your fire department is still just doing their normal duties. So only that half during doing the storm response are eligible for being covered by FEMA. That in fact, during this crisis, everyone working, every firefighter, every public health nurse, every police officer, every correctional officer, all of those people were constantly putting themselves at risk, and were part of the response that you all have so eloquently spoken of in the last hour, of applauding the hard work of our county employees, not just the handful of leaders, but everyone from the highest executive to the frontline employee in responding to the crisis, that their pay should be, and hazard pay should be, eligible for coverage, especially because we had those agreements in place in our collective bargaining agreements prior to the advent of the crisis. So we've had very positive conversations with our congressional delegation and interceding with FEMA to make sure we get every penny possible. And we've had good conversations with the FEMA staff, who I think are not just in dealing with us, but dealing with local governments, state governments all over the country, recognizing that so much of their approach to disasters simply does not work in this environment. And they are, I think, rethinking their approach about how and what information to request, how they judge it, how they get back to us. So You have the whole chart of all of the various items that we have documented and that we will be submitting over the next few weeks to FEMA to try to get that great 100% reimbursement. In the budget the county executive proposed to you, we are not assuming all of this money. So if we are in fact successful with our full court pressure on FEMA with ourselves and our congressional representatives, and we do recognize all of this money, that will mean only more federal assistance flowing into our community for both the executive and you all to program and direct assistance to our businesses and our residents, other employers. So that is my update for today, and I'm happy to take any of your questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Director or CAO Madalena, excuse me. You have a lot of titles: Senator, Director, CAO.
My favorite is father and husband.
I will say, okay, dad and husband Madalena is
and Caps fan, and number one Caps fan. You could throw that one in.
Is a great one, and unfortunately, Terps fans as well, as we were discussing county issues last night during a challenging Maryland basketball game, as Alabama was hitting too many 3-pointers. But so appreciate the update. I mean, there's great news here, right? And I don't want to gloss over that, which is as you have frequently stated, between the American Rescue Plan Act, the Biden administration's change in the way that they're viewing FEMA reimbursements, the extension to the first CARES Act funding. This provides significant flexibility. That is a real positive to the county that allows us to meet the fiscal challenges and the relief that our residents and businesses need without putting our county budget in total jeopardy. And I think that is really important. And then secondly, I know how challenging this FEMA reimbursement has been, and the changing rules and dynamics. It's challenging in any moment. It's particularly challenging now. This is unprecedented in terms of a 1-year disaster and counting. Nothing that anybody at the federal or local levels have ever seen before. And the team that is working on this, led by Dr. Stoddard, I just want to thank them for all the work that they're putting into it. It's not lost on me, despite some questions that I have raised throughout the process and frustrations that I have had on some of the planning and policy decisions. The team has really stepped up in a way that is remarkable, and I just wanted to make sure that I made a particular point in that. I do have some particular questions here. According to the chart, there's 3 more submissions that are expected. As you noted, they're expected by the end of this week. Is that on schedule? Do we expect all 3 of these, the 9.4 million, the 9 million, and the 17.3 million, to be submitted by the end of the week?
So Dave Gottesman is on the call. Dave, as you know, is our longtime county stat director who has been leading the federal aid reimbursement submission team, the FARMS team. And so I'm going to let
I apologize. I should have said led by Dr. Stoddard and Mr. Gottesman, because I know how much Mr. Gottesman has been.
Mr. Gottesman much more than me, so I want to make sure he gets as much credit as possible.
He has been a lifesaver. We wanted someone who knew county government, and we were very fortunate that he was both. He was able to step up into this role.
Great, Mr. Gottesman.
Well, I appreciate all that, but the reality is that it's the forest team members in the departments that are doing the bulk of the work on this, and folks like Thomas Tippett and Michael Goldfarb. And I appreciate, we all appreciate the work they're putting in. I'm going to just say that the tentative 3/26 date is probably going to get pushed out a little bit, and the reason that is because as the CAO mentioned, the feedback from FEMA on submissions 2.0, 2.5, and 3.0 have required a bunch of revision, as well as some new documentation, new narrative, new information collected from all those departments. And it's the same people who are doing all of that work. So it's doubling up on not just the FARS team members, but the department fiscal staff who have to go back and collect and document all that stuff in an appropriate way. But the reality is that getting it done correctly and in the, as you mentioned, Councilmember Friedson, the requirements and the guidance from FEMA has been changing. So as we work to conform to that, it takes time, but it should smooth out the actual reimbursement process once it all does happen. So the short answer is no, that 326 will probably get put down a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Generally speaking, just I think that point is that Mr. Goddess made at the end is very important. Once FEMA accepts it, like as in this looks good to us, thank you, we feel pretty good about that number being ultimately be reimbursed. It's really the bottleneck is in the very first step, and then it's just sort of just a administrative process after that. It's not like things get cleaved off the back end very often after the first stage. Really, once you get in through that front door, it's really just the process inside FEMA takes a little while, but you feel pretty good about once you get in the door that it's going to process through and be done.
And I would add, as I've learned more about FEMA throughout these last number of months, the surprising part of this whole thing is not that the submissions are taking a long time. The surprise has actually been that the first submission was responded to and reimbursed so quickly. People who have a lot more intimate knowledge of FEMA than me tell stories about how there are still outstanding submissions from Superstorm Sandy from jurisdictions, up and down the East Coast. That was almost 9 years ago. So, the surprise is really 1.0 and a pleasant surprise, but that's really the story here.
And I will just say, I noted that my expectation that the timeline was very ambitious and that, us banking our fiscal decisions off of these reimbursements is a challenge for that very point, but I don't want to rehash that. The submissions that have already been made, do we have an indication of what the responses are going to be beyond 1.0, including what of differential pay is going to be reimbursed? I'm less concerned, and I have always been less concerned about whether or not the amounts would be reimbursed. The real question is, who is considered to be eligible, who is receiving differential pay in the county by FEMA or by ARPA, because I wouldn't imagine that there'd be significant difference between what's ARPA eligible and what's FEMA eligible in terms of that differential pay. Do we have an understanding of what jobs, what positions and how much that would account for, are expected to be reimbursed?
Well, I think that is all very fluid right now, because after, we did an initial assessment submission during the summer and had very positive feedback from FEMA about what would be covered. And then they were asking for a tremendous amount of information, which then bogged down and slowed down our process of submitting the information for the differential. And then they came up with new rules in September, which then suggested that possibly what we had been anticipating during the summer was going to be very different for activities during the fall. So, we have wrestled with them over, a police officer was potentially only that amount of time that was spent enforcing mask orders was eligible for reimbursement, but other work was not, even though what we're trying to say is, look, every time a police officer, every time a firefighter or paramedic responded to an emergency call, they had to walk in assuming that that person was in fact COVID positive. And whether or not they were having a respiratory situation or a heart attack, how would we ever know that that case was in fact days later determined to be COVID related for us then to book that as a COVID related expense? I mean, the amount, when you think through it, and Councilmember Friedson, you spent time, working in the state government, you've spent time reviewing grants, reviewing requests. When you think through this process, I think you can understand that how could the federal government ever assume to work through this level of detail or expect any local government to be able to justify every 911 call? It makes sense maybe when you're sitting in a conference room, But when you get into the real world, it all bogs down. And part of what we've gone back now and argued with them, and we've enlisted our congressional delegation with, especially after the passage of President Biden's American Rescue Plan and the way the Senate put in the hazard pay, they embraced the concept of all time spent in doing any sort of frontline work, first responder, public health, all of that, driving a bus, all of those activities, all of your time is eligible for hazard pay. And if Congress has embraced that now is the view, FEMA should get on board and do the same thing, especially for jurisdictions like us who had pre-existing contractual relationships with our employees about hazard pay, emergency pay, and we were just embracing that concept and in fact trying to do it in a way that was far more affordable. I noticed recently a Department of Legislative Services report that said the state, which also had the double time provision in their contracts and actually paid double time for 9 days, the state's cost for double time for 9 days was $34 million. Contrast that with $89 million for 9 months of full $10 an hour front-facing pay. So you can see how quickly double time would have gone, would have been outrageously expensive. So our negotiation to a lower rate, roughly a quarter of what double time would have been, saved us and saved the federal government money, and FEMA should reimburse us as a result of that, and recognize that even though it was a different rate, it was still a pre-existing contractual relationship.
So it sounds like it's very much in flux of what that reimbursement is going to be, who's going to be reimbursed, what's going to be reimbursed, and what the fiscal impact is going to be. I appreciate everything that you said. The challenge that we have is we base so many fiscal decisions as a county up to this point for the grant relief programs that we provided to vulnerable residents and struggling businesses, and now the budget for FY22 are all based on the assumptions on that. That has continued to be my concern from a fiscal standpoint, and I remain concerned that there's really a lot of unanswered questions that we don't know where it's going to result. So just a question between the budget, how much money in the budget for the FY22 submission is assumed based on FEMA reimbursements and based on the ARPA funds? One-time FEMA reimbursements, one-time ARPA funds. What's the total amount of those two numbers in the budget?
So for the remainder of FY21, which runs, just so people listening understand, when we're talking about FY21, I know you all know it ends June 30th. The accrual process ends 30 days later on July 30th. So any revenue that comes in up until that point can be booked to FY21. We are anticipating using $84.4 million out of the $204 million we're getting from the American Rescue Plan in FY21. We are assuming the $31.8 million, the full 100% off of submission 1.0 from Dave's chart that you have before you. We are anticipating another $51.8 million in FEMA reimbursements through the end of July that can be banked towards FY21. We are assuming another $23.7 million in FEMA reimbursements to come in during FY22. We are assuming the use of another $37 million in the use of the American Rescue Plan in FY22 dollars. That's primarily to meet our additional costs for like the Working Families Income Supplement, the expansion that the state passed, expanding it to people who file using individual tax ID numbers. And then the executive did not allocate $82.4 million of the American Rescue Plan Act dollars for the county, recognizing the need for us to work with you to figure out exactly what were the best use of those dollars for the community. I would add the state is getting $3.9 billion out of the American Rescue Plan. That will be some of that money assuredly will be coming through assistance programs, which will be given to the counties to operate. We estimate there's an additional $400 million in funding out of the American Rescue Plan that will go directly to the Montgomery County Public Schools and Montgomery College. There's additional transit dollars that will be coming in. So there are substantial amounts of money that at least the schools and the college will have multiple years to spend in order to support their operations. So we tried to be very cautious and conservative. We have not assumed in this budget plan that we were going to get every penny reimbursed for the pay differential. In fact, because of the way Congress redid the Coronavirus Relief Fund, the CRF, in December, extending it through the end of the calendar year, we've tried to say, all right, we're going to be cautious, book money from the CRF to cover the pay differential. So the money we get back from the federal government for the pay differential will just be added to our ability to provide assistance to the community. So we have not built a budget based upon the rosiest scenario for FEMA reimbursement for our pay differential costs. I think we've done it in one of the most conservative ways. I would also point out, since the last time we talked, the state discovered in Appendix R of the state budget, which I don't know if even you, Councilmember Friedson, got to Appendix R of the state budget, has an accounting of their use of the CRF dollars for FY20 and FY21, and I thought it was very interesting. They have spent the vast majority of their CRF dollars on administrative costs. For example, they're using the CRF to pay the salaries of the state police, all of the university police departments, the correctional officers, the core public health salaries. So, for example, they're using the CRF to pay Travis's salary, his state share of his salary, and they used the CRF to supplant state general funds that then they could put into different programs. I think a different approach than the way that the county has used its dollars.
Appreciate that. I've used more than my fair share of time here. Appreciate the robust responses. I do think we have to have a continued conversation as we make our way through the budget to address the assumptions for the FEMA reimbursements and to address the one-time funding and the question of whether it's going to ongoing expenses. We ran into a lot of issues related to the original CRF and coming up to the deadline, and I don't think that process was as well handled and well planned as any of us would want. Now we have a second chance to redo it, and I think we can do it a lot better. We are basing over $120 million of balancing the budget off of these ARPA funds, tens of millions more in FEMA reimbursement. And I think that warrants significant conversation as we make our way through the budget. But appreciate the responses and look forward to continuing that conversation.
And again, to reiterate, our congressional delegation has stepped in and is being incredibly helpful and aggressive at trying to make sure we recognize and realize every dollar of reimbursement from FEMA as possible.
Terrific. Okay. I don't see any other requests to speak. A lot of good news here. Thanks, Mr. Madaleno, Dr. Stoddard, Mr. Gottesman. We're grateful for all your work on this and for keeping us up to speed. And colleagues, we can now move on to item C in our meeting as the Board of Health. Councilmember Joanno.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just before I start, as I said earlier, I'll be making a motion to withdraw this item in light of the action that the governor took yesterday afternoon that we didn't know about. But I do want to say, I do think it's worth saying what we were trying to do and how it's consistent with what we have done. This Board of Health regulation would have expanded eligibility for residents that live in those priority zip codes that we have been targeting since the beginning, going back to before vaccination. I think it's important to note that this council was among the first in the state, if not the first, to ask the state health department and the governor to disaggregate the data of who was getting infected by region and zip code and demographics. We've continued along that path, realizing that, a third of our residents are immigrants, over half are people of color, and we have a history and legacy of systemic racism and inequity. It's one of the reasons we passed this landmark racial equity bill led by Councilmember Navarro last year, all of us, and we declared racism a public health crisis. So this would have allowed and directed our health department to focus and open vaccine eligibility to younger residents in these zip codes where the data has shown, and I want to thank our health department, Dr. Gales and Stoddard and their teams, Dr. Kroll, for producing the data that undergirded this, that showed that we have Black and Latino residents dying 10 years younger, well before they are reaching vaccine eligibility age at much higher rates. And this was going to be one of many efforts to address that. We no longer have the authority to do it. I think it's deeply disappointing, and I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is at this point. I also want to thank Christine Wellens and Bob Drummer and all of our staff for working furiously over the last several days and week to pull this together. I want to thank all my colleagues, particularly Council Members Navarro, Council Member Rice, but all my colleagues who had signaled support. We were going to do this as a full council, and we will continue to find ways to, as you heard earlier, to target, to support our most vulnerable residents. If you have people coming in and someone's bleeding out and someone has a scratch, you go to the bleeding out person, and that's what we've tried to do. And so while I'm disappointed we're withdrawing this, I think this would have been a bold, innovative step in light of the governor's order. I'd like to make the motion that we withdraw this Board of Health regulation.
Councilmember Navarro.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Councilmember Jawando. Thank you for leading on this effort, and thank you, Councilmember Rice, and really all my colleagues. This is, as you said, in keeping with the commitment that we made in 2019 as the commitment when we passed our racial equity and social justice law, as well as when we passed a resolution declaring racism a public health emergency, and absent the guidance from the federal level all of last year, as well as the state, given what we heard earlier, that the equity plan at the state level has not yet been finalized. We have found ourselves in the position of really designing and implementing our own equity plan. And I also want to thank Ms. Wellens and Mr. Drummer for helping draft the language, but also the team that you just heard from, our Dr. Kroll, Dr. Gales, Dr. Stoddard, Dr. Bridgers, everybody that has been working so hard to navigate this whole entire situation. Because of the numbers, I always go back to data. Data is so critically important. I keep going back to this, all of these numbers that describe who Montgomery County is. The fact that we do have a third of our residents who are immigrants, the fact that we know the Montgomery County Public Schools is now about 72% children of color, the fact that we know that we have about 42% of our residents who speak a language other than English, and that the county itself, with the latest data, we know is majority people of color. Of course, we will await the census results later on this year, which I think it's going to demonstrate, again, how our diversity continues to grow, which is exactly what makes this county so amazing. But it does also, unfortunately, has shown consistently through this pandemic what we feared most. When we did pass our racial equity and social justice legislation in 2019, it was because we understood that the structural nature of these particular disparities were very much systemic, and that we needed to work towards that. So when the pandemic hit, I know we were all very concerned that, of course, it was going to show up in the disproportionality affecting our Black and Brown residents, and it has consistently through these zip codes. So it is important for us to continue this work. I feel very strongly that it's all about shifting strategy whenever we have to do that. And so now I think that we do need to target the additional dollars that we're going to be receiving from the federal government to enhance and expand, strengthen the infrastructure in these particular hard-hit zip codes, to then ensure that as we're getting more vaccines, we're able to distribute them, to ensure the pre-registration is actually happening there, to make sure the people in these targeted zip codes understand, know how to navigate this entire situation. And the good news is that I know we have the talent, I know we have the know-how to do this. So yes, it's a bit, unfortunate that we're not able to do that, that we can't, locally be able to discern and strategize and target. But I think that doesn't mean that we can't continue to do whatever possible to address these issues and really in an equitable way show that it is indeed a possibility when there is the political will, and also when we know that our residents continue to step up every single day to follow our guidelines, to respect the guidelines, and we will in turn continue to do everything possible to serve them, all of them, because again, this is not a matter of doing this because it's the, sort of civil rights and moral thing to do. That is important. But this is about saving lives, and it is about us curbing the impact of this pandemic. If we ignore particular communities and particular geographic areas of our county, this has an impact on all of us because this virus does not discriminate. And so this is what we've been doing from the very beginning. I am proud to serve with all of you. I am proud to also know that, this is a team from the administration side, from the council side. Everybody has worked on this from day one. So again, thank you. And we obviously will not stop. We will continue to do what's needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rice.
Yeah, I'll just be very brief because there's not much to add beyond what my colleagues said. I just again want to thank all of our staff and council staff who worked very tirelessly over this short time frame to really try and come up with a way in which we could promote equity in our community. And again, it's disappointing that a governor who chooses not to even broadcast an equity plan, who claimed back on March 4th that it was going to be done. It's now March 23rd, almost 3 weeks later, and we still don't have anything. And here we are as local jurisdictions trying to do our best part to make sure that we can have an equitable plan in terms of dissemination of vaccine. And our legs have been cut out from under us, and that's frustrating. And I'm sorry to our residents who continue to look for us to be able to lead the effort in ensuring that their needs are met. But I can assure you that just as we came up with this strategy, we'll come up with others. As you heard from Councilmember Navarro and Councilmember Jawando, we won't stop. We won't stop, regardless of how many times the governor tries to keep us from doing what we know is right. We will continue to push the cause. As my mother always says, when one door closes, another opens. And so I know there will be other opportunities for us and look forward to working with all of my colleagues to make sure that that happens. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Yeah, I think everyone has said it very well. The withdrawal of, just to clarify, the withdrawal of this resolution, the amendment, doesn't change anything about our commitment to the most impacted zip codes and the highest priority residents who are the most vulnerable, who have suffered the most harm due to the virus, and who have been the focus of this council and our whole county government since the beginning of this pandemic. And the fate of this resolution doesn't change that commitment at all. It's much larger than that resolution. And I think we all ought to be proud of our role as, in Montgomery County's role as leaders in the area of equity. We've put a lot of thought into this and a lot of work into it and a lot of emphasis on it since the very beginning. And I'm hopeful that many of our policies will end up in the state's equity plan. The state, all the counties would be better off if the state takes that approach. But I think regardless of what the state does, while we can't control them, we'll continue to try to advocate passionately to them. I really think all of us ought to be proud about the role that Montgomery County and this government has played in protecting our most vulnerable residents and our most impacted zip codes. So we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor of the withdrawal of this resolution, please raise your hand. Terrific. Now we can take up the consent calendar. I need a motion to approve the consent calendar. Councilmember Katz moves. Councilmember Rice seconds. Don't see any requests to speak. All those in favor of, Councilmember Reamer.
I wanted to be, I believe this is on, no, sorry, never mind. No request to speak. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar, please raise your hand. Excellent. That is unanimous. And with that, I believe we can recess until 1:30 for our public hearings. Thank you all. Good work this morning.